talkSPORT Sports Update powered by the Nissan Van range. Commercial vehicles built around your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van centre.
With your headlines at 10:01, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good morning. talkSPORT's Dean Saunders says he's gutted to hear the news of Terry Yorath's death, aged 75.
Took over the Welsh squad and we were in trouble. He got us to 27th in the world and he managed to get... We had a load of good players at the time. He managed to get us all in the team and we all enjoyed turning up for him.
Terry's daughter, Gabby Logan, had to leave Match of the Day midway through the programme last night. A statement from Yorath's children calls him a quiet, kind and gentle man. Yorath won the league in the 70s with Leeds and was a very popular Wales manager. Our chief football correspondent Alex Crook suggested Spurs captain Christian Romero might be angling for a move away. He seemingly criticised the club's hierarchy in an Instagram post. Meanwhile, Mickey van der Ven had an argument with a Spurs fan after their defeat to Bournemouth. Crookie thinks the Dutchman could be on his way as well.
For me, he's probably the one player in that Tottenham team who could go and play for one of the top clubs and you know, challenge for Champions Leagues and league titles, and you can see his frustration boiling over last night. So certainly one to keep an eye on, probably for the summer as opposed to now.
We understand Man City are paying £62.5 million for Antoine Semenyo over 2 years. Semenyo is due for his City medical today. After they drop points in a draw with Brighton, Arsenal can go 8 points clear with a win at home to Liverpool, live on talkSPORT tonight. And Harry Brooks said sorry for an altercation with a nightclub bouncer in New Zealand ahead of a disappointing Ashes tour. Brooks on his last warning with the ECB and has been fined 30 grand. Meanwhile, Ben Stokes says he's keen to carry on as captain following the 4-1 series defeat in Australia. An ECB review is already underway.
talkSPORT News.
Some NHS hospitals are now adapting corridors and other temporary spaces to care for patients, and trains are already being cancelled ahead of amber weather warnings for Storm Goretti. More of them are at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Get a free vehicle safety check at all of our 600 centres nationwide to keep you safe on the road. QuickFit. Drive away happy every time.
In the north, bright spells with wintry showers, turning wet and windy further south with snow on the hills and severe gales in the far southwest as Storm Goretti moves in.
Good morning, everybody. You're listening to Jim White and Simon Jordan. We're live in talkSPORT, so a bumper night of Premier League football as Manchester City and Villa let slip. Can Arsenal take full title control against Liverpool tonight? Meantime, fans going after players, players calling out the owners. Why are Spurs more disconnected, it seems, than ever? Also today, we'll bring you the very latest transfer news. Former Newcastle goalkeeper Tim Krul joins us in the studio. Has Keith Andrews proved everyone wrong? When can charitable socialism be applied in football? And from midday, we talk boxing with fight pundit Spencer Oliver. Jim White, Simon Jordan, live in talkSPORT.
100% engagement. Jim White and Simon Jordan on talkSPORT.
You came in all wrapped up for the
Cold
cold.
out, isn't it?
It's cold out there this morning, Simon, isn't it?
It's getting colder, isn't it?
I think so. And we're feeling it more as we get into our advanced years.
No one can draw me into the conversation with you.
All right.
But I've got this obsession of saying to Luke, we're walking everywhere. I've developed this obsession with walking everywhere, and I don't know why I'm doing it, because I'm freezing cold, I'm miserable,
yeah.
I'm whining about it all the time.
Yeah.
So I've got to get back into...
Where's your driver gone?
I just get fed up with sitting in traffic.
Right.
So I want to take control of my own destiny. I got fed up with going on a boat because it irritated me, taking 50 minutes to get. I got fed up with driving here. So I need to change all the time, keep moving. Now I've decided to walk everywhere, and now I'm going to whine about that.
Not a problem. I'll join you on that one, I think.
In a whine-a-thon.
Good morning, everybody. We're live in talkSPORT, also live, of course, on your TV, and you know that by now. So many of you watching the show, and I'm delighted about that. Simon, it would be remiss of me not to kick off, I'm afraid, on what obviously is a sad note. Sad 24 hours, actually. We heard it with the boys on breakfast, but we've lost two significant figures in the world of football. Former Tottenham and England forward Martin Shivers has died, aged 80. And now Leeds and Wales legend Terry Yorath has passed away, aged 75. Yeah. Very sad. We're going to hear from Graham Roberts further into the show, former Tottenham captain, who pays tribute to Martin Shivers, who was like Graham, who was a Tottenham Hotspur ambassador. Yeah. Certainly, Terry Yorath stands out in my mind as this tenacious Leeds midfielder.
Absolutely. Well, they're both icons of 70s football, aren't they? They're both iconic in their own way for different reasons. You know, Terry Yorath, part of the Revy team at times. That was good and bad for English football. Then Chivers being part of the Tottenham's legacy from the 70s and the UEFA Cup games that they played in. And it feels now that we've got to a stage in life that once upon a time we would have said good innings, 75, 80 years of age.
That's right.
But we feel now that society's moved on, that when you lose somebody at 75 or 80, you think, oh man, that's sad, that feels early. And that's a reflection of the way that we live in society and health that has now become more prevalent. But it's always sad, and it must be very sad for the members of the family today. And obviously, Gabby will be very sad for her father, and probably taken out of the main line of match of the day stuff for the time being.
Yes.
But both real, for whatever it's worth, whatever expression can mean, good and bad. Both real, proper football men that were steeped in the culture of football, and steeped in the backbone of 70s football, which had its challenges for England, but notwithstanding that, two very, very good players as well.
Very much so. I saw Martin Shivers not that long ago when I was at Tottenham Hotspur, the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Tall, proud man, Simon, wore the blazer with pride. Yeah. And Terry Yorath played for Bradford City, as one or two people have pointed out to me this morning, and managed Bradford City, and of course Leeds United as well, and managed Swansea as well. A friend of mine, John Williams, has got in touch. This shows you how much we've moved on. In 1988, my mum phoned the Swansea City club shop to see if the game against Mansfield Town was on. Yorath answered the phone to confirm that the game was on. Can you imagine that today with managers and coaches? It's a very good point, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So sad news this morning, and condolences to the families of Martin Shivers and Terry Yorath. It was a bumper night of football, Simon, in the Premier League. We thought it would be. We certainly didn't predict what was going to happen at St James's Park. Good grief. Newcastle United 4, Leeds United 3, and that was just part of the story, really. Newcastle came from 3-2 down with goals in stoppage time to include a 102nd minute goal to beat Leeds by 4-3. Funnily enough, former Newcastle goalkeeper Tim Krul will join us, Simon, in the studio later on. And this madcap game came on the day that we got the sad news that Kevin Keegan, Newcastle legend, of course, was battling cancer. And that wasn't lost on Eddie Howe, who paid tribute to the kind of way that Keegan went about playing the game and managing in the game. Keegan the entertainer. This was Eddie.
That team that he created was incredibly special and still talked about, and quite rightly so, for what it achieved and how it played and the entertainment that it gave everybody. And that was us. You know, we were always trying to be that team. We want to entertain. We want the supporters here to be on the edge of the seats. Sometimes, unfortunately, we can't always guarantee that, but today I think it was us at our thrilling best without playing at our very best. But of course the news before the game really shook us all, I think. You know, Kevin, well, what he did here as a player, as a manager, as a truly iconic person. Want to pay tribute to him really and just hope he's okay and send him all our love.
Yeah. How did you react to the news when you heard, Simon? Because you had your own cancer challenge.
I reacted to it. I grew up with Kevin Keegan as one of my heroes. You know, I remember watching the 1977 European Cup final between Liverpool and Borussia Mönchengladbach, and watching Keegan, and then being almost, not that I was a Liverpool fan, I was a Palace fan, but being distraught to hear that Kevin Keegan was going to Hamburg And then obviously Kenny Dalglish takes over. And you see this man's career, and it's an iconic career in so many ways, because obviously being European Footballer of the Year twice, making moves that people never felt were conventional moves. He didn't make conventional moves. He went from Hamburg to Southampton. Lloyd McMenemy must have had a silver tongue. And then ends up at a lowly Newcastle at that time, and then ends up going back to them. He scored lots of goals at Newcastle, comes in, lands in a helicopter, leaves in a helicopter, doesn't he? And then he goes on and manages Newcastle, produces this wonderful team, that wonderful outburst, part of Fulham's recreation with Mohamed Al Fayed, goes to Man City, manages England, and all that goes with him. I mean, listen, he's got a battle on his hands, but this is not a death sentence. He's not dead. He has a challenge. I had a challenge. You've got to, and he will approach it, I suspect, as he's approached everything in his life, with an indomitable spirit and be able to overcome it. And you see the football celebrations last night in terms of celebrating him, the fans singing his name and lionising him, because he did so much at Newcastle.
Yeah.
And did so much with Newcastle.
Yeah.
I didn't always agree with some of the outbursts that he had and some of the reactions that he had to not being able to get his way like a lot of football managers do. But I think he was, I grew up watching him on Superstars, when Superstars was the iconic programme in the 70s and 80s with Brian Jackson and Jeff Capes and Kevin Keegan. And he was a global star.
He was.
Before you had this situation where football had become such an immense currency. The Brute adverts, the hair perms,
That's right.
Everything Kevin Keegan did had some degree, even the boots. I grew up as a kid wanting the Patrick Super Keegan boots because they were the first sort of branded boots that people were really alighting upon. I hope he's fine. I'm sure,
Kevin,
I'm sure he will be. I wish him well.
We wish you well, Kevin Keegan. We wish him well this Thursday
He's 74
morning.
as well, isn't he?
74, yeah. Thursday, January the 8th, ladies and gentlemen. A lot to get through this morning, and we're looking forward to the challenge that lies ahead over the next 3 hours or so. The thing of the thing that comes out to me, Simon, last night when it was 3-2 Leeds, I thought, oh yeah, here we go. If you're a West Ham fan, you're thinking, oh, hang on a second, this isn't good news. But now, Newcastle having won the game by 4-3, it's a crumb of comfort, even though it's a small one, for West Ham United, that Leeds didn't get the win that would have shaken up every West Ham fan this morning. Interestingly, on West Ham, the news came through to me yesterday, Simon, I pushed for it. Nuno stays on. 100% stays on. He's in charge for the next game. That is against Queen's Park Rangers in the third round of the FA Cup this weekend. Nuno stays at the helm.
Look, I know you got a text message from some grotty little agent yesterday telling me that I don't know anything about football, and ultimately that Nuno Espirito Santo is not going to be the solution, and he's told his mate. But the fact of the matter is I look at it and say, what is better? The group of players, the squad that's been assembled, the culture in this football club has eroded over 18 months for whatever reason, and Nuno is the end of the line. He's the end of the line. He is the recipient of all of the bad decisions, whether it be the disposal of David Moyes, whether it be the erosion of certain decisions about the way the club was moved, whether it be the introduction of Julian Lopetegui, whether it be Graham Potter. Here's Nuno Espirito Santo, who's probably the most sensible appointment of the lot. Yeah. And I think he is the best alternative. Now, if someone can tell me a better alternative, and also the ingredients are going to be put into the recipe to provide the ultimate solution, which is to get West Ham out of the cart that they're in, I'm happy to listen to it, but I think it's sensible probably to stay with him unless you're going to pull out some wonderful survival expert, unless we're going to exhume Sam Allardyce from his adverts with Alan Pardew and Tony Pulis, and get him back into the mix, which I'm sure the West Ham fans would be delighted about. Look, I mean, Leeds losing last night, whilst it might give a comfort for West Ham, Leeds are becoming a good side, and the fact they've got beaten 3-4, and we're 3-2 up, and they're taking the game to everybody. That not only are they changing the way they've played to make them more difficult to beat, they're now doing that and taking the game to the opposition.
Well, 4-3 to Newcastle United last night. That was spectacular. So was this. Brentford beating Sunderland 3-0, and in the process, go fifth. The bees are buzzing this morning. And my God, Keith Andrews, has he got something special going there? You certainly have, Keith. Good lad. I knew him when I was at Sky with him. And I'm watching from distance and watching as he does really, really well. But what about Thomas Frank? When it rains, it seems to pour. Doesn't it, Thomas? We'll look at that next. We're live in talkSPORT with Selco, where the trade goes. Time to have former Newcastle goalkeeper Tim Krul with us. Tim will be in studio. Played for Norwich as well, of course. Played for the Netherlands too. Tim's on his way and he'll be joining us just after 11 o'clock this morning. It's Jim White and it's Simon Jordan, and we are live on talkSPORT, live on your TV as well. So many of you watch us on TV. You know where to find us: Apple TV, Chromecast, Android, Prime Video. Wherever you want to watch us, we are there for you. Spencer Oliver will join us later on in studio. We hear from Eddie Hearn on how Anthony Joshua is, or at this time, Anthony Joshua's gone through a very challenging period in his life, of course, as we know, with that dreadful incident, the car crash in Nigeria. Simon, we're picking over some of the headline stories coming out of last night. Brentford beat Sunderland 3-0, as I said, going into the first break, and they go fifth this morning. Brentford, fifth in the Premier League. Yeah, it's that good. And a lot of Brentford fans, no doubt, were perturbed when Thomas Frank moved on. But Keith Andrews has come in and grabbed the hot seat and done that in style. And Keith, last night, before they played Sunderland, he actually reflected on the doubts that were directed towards him and the Brentford team when he took over before the season had got underway. Have a listen to Keith.
Keep going back to it, everybody talking about us in the summer with a little bit of scepticism, maybe, understandably. We just got on with our business, and I think we've taken in the main strides in the right direction, steps in the right direction in the main. You've got to take hits along the way, and that's just the nature of the league we're in. It's so demanding, the levels are so high and the margins are so fine that you have to accept that at times it's not always going to be the way you want it to be. But yeah, to be sat here in seventh and in the league, again, with a condensed league around us, we're not taking that for granted for sure. But yeah, we're pretty content with where we are.
Keith Andrews content. I'm not surprised that Keith and Brentford are content. Fifth in the Premier League this morning. Simon, I've got to tip my hat to you, because I do remember you were one of the few voices at the time who said, no, this will be fine. This might be more than fine. What made you say that at that time?
Matthew Benham.
Who? Matthew Benham, the owner.
Yeah. I mean, what I did was I qualified it by saying, in any other circumstance, you would look at this and say, this is a very unusual decision. It's very risky. It's toying with potential orthodoxy. But because of the thought process that have gone into Brentford and Brighton and the way they run their football clubs, no surprise that those two boys that run those football clubs were business partners once and come from the same industry. Everything's about analytical data. Everything's about looking forward. Everything's about planning and diligence and understanding why you're doing things and leaving nothing to chance, which seems to be the stable diet of most football clubs. Let's take a punt on that rather than let's really know what we're doing. Look at the succession program they built repeatedly. Mark Warburton to Dean Smith, to Thomas Frank to this fellow. All of them, when Thomas Frank was brought in, people scratched their heads.
Yeah.
They went, not sure about that. Now people lionise Thomas, maybe not at this moment in time because he's having a difficult moment. But I just felt that the winning hand was the one that Matthew Benham played, which was understanding why he did it. And the only noise coming out of Brentford was not a lot. There wasn't any justification of it. There was certain sections of the media saying set piece coach. What does that look like? I mean, obviously Martin O'Neill isn't a big fan of Keith Andrews, so he was a tad vitriolic about it because Keith had been critical of his tenure at the Republic of Ireland situation.
Yeah.
But what you've also got to give credit to, whether we like it or we don't currently, is that succession management is only good with the platform that you leave them, and that platform was left by Thomas Frank. So he built, albeit some of that side has been stripped out and players have been taken away, and Mbamo's gone to Man United and the captain went to Arsenal. Yet they recruited, again, properly, and they've got a structure and a culture inside that football club that enabled Keith Andrews to be the beneficiary of A, his own skill set, B, an enlightened owner, and C, a very good coach that was there as a predecessor. And that's how you judge a football club, when it succeeds on the back of change. Because everything changes in the end. Everything evolves. No one stays there forever. Very rarely do you have Arsene Wenger for 21 years, Alex Ferguson for 26 years.
Yeah.
These are the staple diet of most football clubs. And certainly football clubs that are smaller football clubs is that at some point a successful manager is going to get pinched. So it isn't just a case of a big football club succeeding and they keep their manager because they're a big football club. It's actually more admirable when a lesser than club gets their best players and their managers pinched because they're a stepping stone club in lots of other people's minds,
right,
including players and managers, and yet they continue to prosper. They will not finish fifth in the league this year.
Well, you never know.
No, they won't finish fifth in the league. But what they will do is they will allay all the doubts and all the people that were ruminating about whether Keith Andrews had the chops to do it, because they're doubting the structure of Brentford. And that was foolish.
So I mean, when you look at it, could Andrews inadvertently be to Thomas Frank where De Zerbi was to Graham Potter?
What were they?
Enhancing a platform, but taking it to new heights.
But that's what they should do. I mean, ultimately, these guys, Potter went on to what he felt were pastures anew and bigger and better and bolder, which was Chelsea, who used Brighton as their academy development opportunity, right? And Potter went to Chelsea, and what Zerbi did was picked up a nice platform and took it forward. And that's what you should do. You shouldn't come into a football club and take it backwards. So I don't know what Roberto De Zerbi was to Graham Potter, because Graham Potter got a massive window of opportunity. His stepping stone was Chelsea didn't have the chops for it.
Yeah.
De Zerbi came in and turned out to be a jerk at the end, because what he wanted to do was spit in the eye of the owner, because he lost a game in the Champions League. Which
he got them into Europe, though.
Yeah, he did. He did, ultimately. But that was also because he wasn't given a pup. He was given a football club that was going quite well and was being run quite well. And so was Brentford. I mean, Thomas Frank's average place in the Premier League during his 4-year tenure was 12th. Now, that's not bad, because I bet you their wage structure ain't 12th.
No, that's right. You're right. 13th, 9th, 16th, 10th. You're right.
If you average it, it's 12th, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. When's all is said and done, and we'll touch on Chelsea shortly, because Chelsea under Liam Rosenior lost at Fulham. We'll get to that. Chance against the ownership, the Chelsea ownership.
Yeah.
We'll get to that in a second as well. When all's said and done, though, Simon, are the stars continuing to align for Arsenal? Manchester City made it 3 draws in the bounce, held at home by Brighton. Villa drew a blank at Palace. Arsenal-Liverpool tonight, live in talkSPORT. Victory would take them 8 clear at the top.
Yeah, and then you can start asking the questions again if they start to fall away about the idea of how much gumption they've got, because if they drop that 8-point lead, whether they win tonight, I mean, Danny Murphy thinks they will win tonight. I think they will win tonight. I think they're the best team in the Premier League. I think the opposition are not there. I think Aston Villa are doing remarkably well under Unai Emery, and a pound-for-pound basis are punching way above their weight because they've got a really good manager and a good group of players. But they're coming up short. They got smashed by Arsenal 4-1. They've drawn 0-0 at Palace, which was a game that they needed to win if they're going to be serious in their contention for a title. But what they are now is they're stabilising themselves as a top 6, top 4 side. The idea that they're contenders for the Premier League, they might be, because the other teams like Man City aren't where they were. Man City are not the side that they were.
Right, so you don't think the challenge is going to be there from City?
No, I think Arsenal are going to win this league, and I think they're going to win it quite comfortably. And now I'm not going to forecast a point spread, but I think tonight, if Arsenal don't lose tonight, drawing tonight is not a crime against Liverpool, because Liverpool are the defending champions. Winning tonight, in the same way that the statement against Aston Villa were in momentous form. And Arsenal, despite being under the cosh in the first half, smashed them in the second half. Arsenal went, I will see your first half and I'll raise it. And showed them what the quality of it was.
Yeah.
And Arsenal have got a good squad of players and a good manager that's been given a lot of time and a hell of a lot of money, and they should be where they are. But what the opposition is the opposition isn't good enough to push Arsenal.
Yeah.
Arsenal will be the architects of their own downfall. It's in their hands. It's in their psyche. If they believe, which I think they do, that they can win this Premier League, then win it they will.
Right. I mentioned the anti-board chants from some Chelsea fans. We'll get to that. Liam Rosenior turned up at Craven Cottage, watched his side in action and watched them lose. We'll get to that as well. Also, a bit of a mess, and an embarrassing mess this morning for Thomas Frank. When it rains for Thomas, it tends to pour. We'll get to that. 10:30.
Darren Fletcher's confirmed to us he'll be in the Old Trafford dugout this weekend. Man United host Brighton in the FA Cup live on talkSPORT on Sunday. United drew 2-2 with Burnley in the league. We understand Solskjaer's nearing a return. Keith Andrews says his Brentford side, meanwhile, is becoming more versatile. They move up to 5th with a 3-0 win over Sunderland, but the pressure increases on Thomas Frank at Spurs, who definitely didn't notice being handed an Arsenal-branded cup before the defeat at Bournemouth.
I think actually it's a little bit sad in football that I need to be asked a question about that.
Just 1 win in 6 for Spurs. Mickey van der Ven appeared to offer a fan out for a fight. Bergvall and Bentancur both came off injured before Antoine Semenyo's last-minute winner, which Andoni Iraola called a fairy tale ending for Semenyo at the Vitality.
Again, I've got to prepare the team. It'll be a great honour, FA Cup game at Old Trafford, but we've got to recover from this.
Semenyo's due for his Man City medical today. They dropped more points in a draw at home to Brighton, and talkSPORT's Mickey Gray says Guardiola looks drained.
It just felt like last night he was a little bit frustrated. Look, they're creating chances, but at the minute they're just not seeing games out. They've got to score that second goal to win football matches.
Arsenal can go 8 points clear with a win at home to Liverpool, live on talkSPORT tonight. And with a review into England's very disappointing 4-1 Ashes defeat already underway, Vice-Captain Harry Brooks on his last warning. He's apologised for an altercation with a bouncer in New Zealand at a nightclub ahead of the Ashes. And coach Brendan McCullum accepts tweaks are needed. There's more on talkSPORT's cricket YouTube channel.
$26K for 2026 on talkSPORT.
The clock is ticking. You've got until 12 tomorrow to enter for your chance to start the year with £26,000. The winner will be called at 12 o'clock tomorrow with the cash paid straight into the bank account on the same day. Imagine that, £26,000 for 2026. For your chance to win, text WIN to 83338. Text cost £2.50 plus your standard network rate. The number to call 0343 423 9761. Lines close at 12 tomorrow. That's when you'll need to answer your phone if it rings. UK residents only, 18 plus. It's a network promotion. Full terms and conditions apply at talksport.com/win. For your chance to win, text WIN to 83338 right now, and good luck. My God, that music's getting me going. So much going on at the moment, and we're right across it here on talkSPORT. And as you heard just before we came back after the break there, all the way up to the deadline itself on February the 2nd, Alex Cook, myself, will be live with you at that time as we head towards the 7 o'clock deadline, of course, on transfer deadline day. Semenyo scored for Bournemouth last night, Simon. He got the winner against Tottenham 3-2. His final touch, albeit in a Bournemouth shirt, it's being reported, and now it looks as if he's set to pull on the colours of Manchester City. We'll watch for that. But for Spurs, 1 win in 6, 7 wins in 21 thus far this season. As well as all that, for Thomas Frank, it doesn't seem to rain. It pours more like. And I feel for Thomas this morning. I like the man. I've met him on a number of occasions. He's a good guy, but he faces challenges ingratiating himself with the Spurs fans. Not helped further before the game, because Thomas seemingly found himself in the middle of something of a PR slip-up when he was seen drinking an espresso from an Arsenal-branded cup. And this prompted this response from him.
Definitely not notice it. I think it's fair to say that we're not winning every single football match, so it'll be absolutely completely stupid of me to take a cup with Arsenal. So anyone thinking I've done that, or the staff has done it, they've been in the changing room or the game before us. It's normal, take a cup, give me an espresso, do that out before every game. So I think actually it's a little bit sad in football that I need to be asked a question about that. I think we're definitely going the wrong direction if we need to worry about that me having a cup with another logo of another club. Where of course I'll never do that. That's extremely stupid.
Now, of course, it wouldn't be that bad. In isolation, if it was taken in isolation, you're fine. But it comes with a backdrop of 7 wins and 21.
Well, this is it. I mean, whilst it's trivial, and he's right to say it's trivial, I mean, it is. And the optics, I never like to judge people. If they were winning football matches, people would laugh it off and go, "Oh, Thomas, what are you doing?" It is silly and it's clumsy. And I don't know, the worst thing you could, I don't know what else worse you could have done to have had, I don't mean ridiculously worse. You could do lots of things. You could have run out in an Arsenal kit, couldn't they? But to be holding an Arsenal cup. And of course you're going to be asked the question. And I do think it's trivial. And I do think it's, facile. But your team isn't winning. There is a narrative building up around you that you might not have the chops to manage a big football club, and you walk out on a field with the cup branded in your most bitterest rivals.
Yeah.
What are you expecting to get? You're going to get a question whether you like it or you don't. Why someone isn't paying attention? These are the things that what people will expand it to is, where's the detail? Where's the attention to detail? Surely if you pick up a cup, you must see that it's got something on it. And you walk out in the full glare of the world's media holding a cup of the biggest, most bitterest rival you've got, and he's right to trivialise it. He's got bigger fish to fry.
You think someone set him up?
No, I just don't understand why people weren't paying attention. I mean, you don't make those kind of mistakes. You don't. He's clearly got his mind distracted. He's clearly got bigger fish to fry. He's more worried about trying to win football matches than which bleeding cup he's drinking his espresso out of. But there should be a little bit of vigilance, a little bit of detail. It might tell you how distracted and out of kilter they all are over there at this moment in time.
Yeah. Would you be mad if it was your manager this morning and say last night Palace were playing Brighton?
I'd say why give it to him? What a gift. What a gift. Wake up, the loss of you. Wake up, all of you around you. You've got your little entourage around you. You've got as many people as you around you you can possibly have. Somebody wake up.
Yeah.
And don't put ourselves in that position. Don't give them this. And by this, I mean the media. Don't give it to us.
Right.
Don't give it to them so they can ridicule, parody. They can land it on your doorstep. They can put you in this uncomfortable position. For God's sakes, it's hard enough as it is.
Yeah. After all that, though, Simon, after the defeat, we saw Van de Ven and Paulinho in a heated discussion with the away support, the travelling Tottenham Hotspur fans. Not for the first time, friction and frustration from the fans boiling over. It's not a good look, is it?
No, it's not a good look. I was talking to Jay, you know my driver Jay, who's a big Tottenham fan, and he wanted to impress upon me this morning that it was a very small section of Tottenham fans that were having a go at the players and the board and the manager. The majority of them are behind the team. So whilst we will always attract ourselves and land in a space...
But it's not the first time it's happened.
No, the players should learn to keep their opinions to themselves. I understand that they're emotional and I understand that they're human beings, but they're also professional footballers and they take all of the upsides. And if somebody wants to shout some abuse at them within reason, they have to get on with it. And fighting back and what's his face, Pedro Porro, giving a lecture to fans about what he won't put up with.
Right.
The fans are spending a lot of money to go and watch a team that isn't functioning at a high level right now. And whilst I don't like it and I don't agree with it and I don't agree with this culture of barracking, you pay your money, you are entitled. We were told 5 years ago when football was no fans inside stadiums because of ridiculous behaviour towards COVID, we had this value of them. They were missed. They are the lifeblood of the game.
Yeah.
Well, here they are in all their glory. Here the fans are shouting out owners, shouting at managers, shouting at fans, shouting at one another, shouting at players, telling you what they don't like. It goes with the territory. So the players will be better served just getting off the field. And that other clown, Romero, and his constant observations about what he thinks he can say. I don't know. I mean, really, I don't know. Christ.
The club captain, Romero.
He's a good player.
I'm glad you've taken me to him. Argentinian. World Cup winner, of course, as we know. What is he up to here? I mean, who's he highlighting in his post-match message? Is he calling out the ownership again? For those who don't know, he posted a post-match message, Christian Romero. Apologies to all the fans who follows everywhere. You're always there and you'll continue to be. We are responsible. There's no doubt about that. Well, he's got that right. But then he goes on, Simon, but at times like this, it should be other people coming out to speak, but they don't, as has been happening for several years now. They only show up when things are going well to tell a few lies. Now, that was one thing, but then when Christian woke up this morning, it was re-edited, and the "to tell a few lies" footnote to the message was deleted.
I bet it was. But of course, this is not his mother tongue. And he didn't mean it that way.
Lost in translation.
Yeah, lost in translation. It's absurd. It's absurd. I mean, listen.
Who's he driving at there?
I have no clue. Who could he be speaking about?
Is it the ownership?
Well, Daniel Levy's gone. So these other people that are running the football club have been there 5 minutes. The CEO that was recruited by Daniel to be his number 2 is now the number 1, but really is a number 2. And that's perhaps the reason why Spurs are a little bit rudderless at this moment in time, because they've got too many number 2s running it. Their sporting director's gone and is going, so the number 2 that's sporting director is going to be running it, and their chairman's gone, and a number 2 that was recruited as number 2 is running it. That might explain some of the challenges that Spurs will have in the short term and in the longer term. Who's he digging at? Who knows? These guys are cowards. They're cowards, a lot of them. If you want to say something, say it. Otherwise, shut up. Maresca was the same. This player's the same. It's difficult because if the media have the audacity to accuse his manager, say to his manager, isn't it a bit cowardly for people to come out and say things and not say it? They'll never get another interview. They'll never get another conversation with them. That's unfortunately the way that the society's created circumstances now. Some of it's our media's own fault because they sensationalise things, and some of it is the protection against nonsense that's allowed these people to say this kind of crap. The reasons why people are fed up with your team and the reasons why people are having a go at you is because you keep losing. And it's incumbent upon you players to do better. And whilst you're doing your little magnanimous acknowledgement of it, you're not really doing that. What you're doing is deflecting. You're going, of course it's our fault, but...
Yeah.
Which means it isn't your fault. It's your fault. Yeah. It's all your fault. The group of players, playing for Ange Postecoglou, playing for Thomas Frank, who's a perfectly decent manager, are not operating at the highest level. And what happens is they get away with it. And I know I sound like some miserable old curmudgeon that wants to blame players all the time, but they're the main beneficiaries of all the upside of football, and they skate away from all the consequences of it.
Yeah. I mean, he says,
they have the audacity to say these sort of things.
We stay here working, sticking together, giving our all to turn things around, especially at times like this. Keeping quiet, working harder. The keeping quiet bit you forgot about. You forgot about that. But 8 months, Simon, after a trophy parade through the streets of North London, why do Spurs as a club seem more disconnected than ever?
I don't know if they are. I mean, I think they were pretty disconnected last year.
You're kidding me?
They've been
players arguing with the fans. Romero coming out with that.
But that's because we've engendered this culture inside footballers that actually that they are able to deflect away from themselves, and they're getting bolder and they're getting braver. And they're getting ahead of themselves. With all due respect, I'm not suggesting that they're all proles and they should do as they're told and march in step. But pack it in.
No, it sounds like a very unhappy football club at the moment.
It sounds like a football club that's deflecting from its own shortcomings, i.e. the players, and ultimately trying to suggest that everything is everyone else's fault. It's very, very easy to blame everybody else. Much more difficult to take responsibility for your own actions and do something about changing it rather than talking about it whilst positioning yourself away from the consequences of your own misdeeds. And the players are good enough to be getting better outcomes. They're good enough. He's a better player. He should be more worried about his own discipline. How would he have liked it if the owners had come out in the middle of the media and gone, well, I'm sick and tired of this player getting himself sent off in the middle of games and consequencing us as a result of it, because it's a letdown. We've had it for years with this player. He'd be up in arms. His agent would be crying like a stuck pig about what the terrible ownership model had just said about him. But they get to say what they want because we, in part, create this idea that these players are entitled to say this crap. And actually, when it comes down to it, they have nothing to say.
But maybe there's a lack of authority at the top of Tottenham, though, Simon.
That's my point. That's what you get. So when we see the Lewis family that run around telling everybody how they're going to run this football club better, off you go then. Off you go then, because now what you've got is the same challenges that Daniel had. And now you're busy trying to perhaps talk Daniel's involvement down so you can get his shareholding out of Enoch cheaper and make him life a bit more difficult. But really, you've got a football club to run. So off you go then. You've been sat in the background for 25 years and telling everyone that ultimately you now want a different Tottenham that you were in part responsible for. Right. Away you go then.
Well, let's put it out there to Tottenham.
I feel sorry for Thomas Frank, by the way.
Yeah, I feel sorry for Thomas.
I think he's been cut adrift. I think he's lost a sporting director that was potentially an ally, and he's lost a chairman that's an ally, and he's got people that aren't going to be an ally to him. And I think Thomas Frank is sailing very close to the wind.
How close to the wind?
I don't think I wouldn't be surprised if they make a change at Tottenham, because I don't think they're really that empathetic towards the outcomes. You have to build a manager up. Thomas Frank doesn't go from being a good manager to a bad manager overnight.
Let's put it out there to the Tottenham Hotspur fans this morning. 8 months, as I said, after a trophy parade through the streets of North London. What is going on? Some of the travelling support last night, were you one of them down at Bournemouth, who rounded on Paulinho at the end of the game and Van de Ven and had a fairly fiery exchange? Were you in amongst that? Do you want to join us and tell us why you were in amongst that. How are you really feeling this morning about Thomas Frank, and where is this whole thing going? And Romero, should he shut up and put up? Give us a call, 03717 223344 81089. Good morning, everybody. Former goalkeeper Tim Krul is going to be joining us here in studio very soon. One-time goalkeeper, soon-to-be sporting director. Interesting transition that Tim is prepared to make and has worked hard to do so. Interesting to get Simon's take on that. No doubt Mr. Jordan will be interrogating Mr. Krul very shortly when he would be rude not to, wouldn't it? Indeed. Newcastle, former Newcastle goalkeeper, Norwich goalkeeper. Newcastle 4-3 winners over Leeds United last night. Tottenham Hotspur 3-2 losers against Bournemouth last night. So much so, at the end of the game, an embarrassing moment for Thomas Frank. Why were you, Thomas, drinking out an Arsenal cup before the game? An Arsenal cup. And as well as all that, Van de Ven involved with Paulinho, a bit of an unfortunate spat with some of the travelling support last night, and Christian Romero, not for the first time, putting his foot in it on Instagram. Why is there such a disconnect at the moment, it seems, between fans, players and the hierarchy at Tottenham? What is going on? 03717 223344. Greg, you're first up. Good morning. What do you want to say?
Morning, Jim. Morning, Simon. Great show as always.
Thank you, Greg. Good to have you on.
Cheers. I just want to say, so I don't believe. So starting from Romero with his post and the players, I think it's ridiculous. I don't believe that what they're doing is right. But I also believe that I think some of the fans, including myself, we've got unrealistic expectations as such. I don't think we are a big six club anymore. I think we are a mid-table team at the moment, and I just don't think. I believe it's all down to the board, though. I believe they've got the managers wrong. They haven't backed the right managers when they've had a chance, and yeah, it's just a bit of a shambles at the moment for Tottenham.
Really? Well, that's pretty honest, Greg. A mid-table club, even though you won a European trophy last season.
Yeah, I think obviously it was great to win the trophy, but I do think realistically the run that we had was easy, and I think anybody really in that mid-table of the Premier League at the time probably could have won it. I just don't believe that we are a big six club at the moment.
Okay, Lee, Greg, I'm going to take that sense of realism and the tone of realism to Lee, who's our next caller. Lee, good morning. You heard Greg. Do you agree?
Good morning.
Morning.
I agree that about the European trophy. But we have got a team full of average players. Apart from one or two, they are all bang average players, and so it does. And with Thomas Frank as well, he can't get a tune out of them. They're not listening to him, we keep on getting the wrong managers in. We don't even back the manager when they are in with quality. It's just how many managers have we had now? Was it all the managers' fault? Is it? It's not. We're just badly run club. I'm glad Levy's gone. I wanted him out. I want ENIC out as well. I want proper owners in that actually love the club and respect our fans. Our owners, ENIC and Joe Lewis, and they've got no respect at all that we are a football club. First and foremost, we are a football club. Our supporters, our fans that go, it means everything to us. It's our club. It's our pride and joy. Of
course.
They don't care. They
spent 200 million on transfer fees in
200 million.
August.
Yeah, but Simon, did they spend it well?
But that I want to go back against the argument, not necessarily just to defend the position of owners, but this lack of respect idea. If you didn't respect what the opportunity was, you wouldn't spend £200 million on players. The argument might be, and it might be a justified one, you haven't spent it wisely, and that can be analysed and looked at. But if you spent £200 million on players, then you must have some degree of ambition to achieve something on the field. You must have some degree of ambition to be able to be successful, because even in the worst case scenario, if Joe Lewis is selling the football club, which I fundamentally believe he is, the value of a football club will be increased by its success on the field. So whether he loves you fans or he doesn't, it's a self-serving circumstance to be able to make the team successful. Surely.
Before you go, Lee, which other clubs' owners do you look at and think, I wish we had them?
I wish we had Klopp. I wish Klopp would come to us.
Not manager.
Owners.
Not manager.
You're talking about the ownership.
Owners, Jim, I don't know every mega rich person out there. I don't know the names of them.
No, but you can look around. You can look around the Premier League, and you can tell us what kind of owners you think would be right for Tottenham Hotspur, against the fact that you haven't got them now.
Liverpool owners. I'd like Liverpool owners.
Right.
Yeah, Liverpool owners. Yeah, so Liverpool owners that love our club. When was the last time Joe Lewis?
So the Liverpool owners.
When was the last time Joe Lewis was there? When was the last time Joe Lewis?
When was the last time Sheikh Mansour was at Man City? Look, you can make that example every time you want because your team's not winning. But there's been many times when John Henry has misstepped when he's raised season ticket prices, when he's alienated the fans, when he went when he took the furlough and created circumstances there. There's been many times. The difference is Liverpool won the Premier League.
Lee, listen, thanks for the call. So many Tottenham fans calling in. We'll do it on a kind of quick-fire basis. Joey, good morning. You're up. What do you want to say?
Good morning, guys. I'm listening to other fans and saying, look, I don't believe it's the manager's fault. It's the hierarchy. Everyone cared about Lewis Lewis Hamilton. I think Lewis Hamilton have got a bit above it. But then Levy's gone. I don't think Levy was the problem. And I feel he got as a scapegoat and he got made to leave in the end. And, Spurs fans need to be careful what we wish for.
But there is a serious disconnect, isn't there, between yourselves at the moment, between yourselves and some of the players, yourselves in the hierarchy. Of that, there seems to be no doubt, Joey.
Yeah, there is. And there's got to be... I think the players are frustrated with what they're seeing, and they can only do so much.
Yeah.
Look, and you can't put it all on the players, and it's the manager can only do what he's got with the players he's got. I believe in Frank. I'm fully behind him, but I think it's the hierarchy upstairs that need to actually say, do you know what? Let's back a manager instead of sacking them every 6 months and having them to blame.
Okay, good call, actually. Joey, thanks for that. John, do you agree with Joey? Back the likes of Thomas Frank. Don't sack them.
Hi there. Yeah, hi there. Can you hear
Morning,
me?
John.
Sorry,
yes.
Yeah. Thanks for taking my call. Yeah, I agree with that. I was going to say the last thing we should be doing now is sacking yet another manager. But what I can't get my head around, because I phoned you guys before about this. You talk about the last few years have been terrible. This 25 years of being terrible. This football club, let me give you a little bit of history, won major trophies every decade from the 50s to the 2000s. Only Man United can match that. And 25 years of Enoch and Levy, we've won 2 trophies, the worst run of success since the 1940s. Anyway, so what we need to do, I think, is to back Thomas Frank in this window. If this new board now are going to be acting just like Levy does, in other words, taking the mick in every transfer window and having a salary cap, we will never, ever get quality players. Look what Arsenal have done. They spent 100 million quid on Rice a couple of years ago. Now they're going to win the league. And you look at the transfer policy, and at the end of the day, we've got one world-class player at the club, Ricky van der Ven.
Yeah.
Honestly, Pep Guardiola would struggle with the squad we've got. I don't know what your feelings are.
John, just before you go, actually, I'll ask you this straight. Did it offend you that Thomas was seen drinking out an Arsenal cup?
Well, that was, to me, that looked stupid, but I can't believe the guy did it deliberately. And what I can't understand is, what about the backroom staff? Could they not see that he's holding a cup with an Arsenal logo on there?
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't believe the guy did it deliberately, but surely someone should have pointed it out to him. I mean, anyway, sorry.
I think so. John, thanks for the call. Stephen, finish it off for me. Good morning. So many Tottenham Hotspur fans coming to air this morning, but you're all welcome.
The long and short, I want to be quick. Back to Simon with Romero. Romero got 5 yellow cards in 2 years. The deterioration is because of the disconnect. But we have to look at what Tottenham is right now. We've got a technical director that was sacked from Aston Villa, that were 5th. Look where Villa are now that Landra's gone. He spent £400 million in 2 seasons, yeah? And then we've got a manager whose highest position is 12th. We took a risk giving a man a chance. A few years ago, at this stage of the season, we sacked Nuno from 15th and finished 4th. I'll accept that there's not a good enough squad, but there's good enough players to see more than a shot in on target in 90 minutes of football. Now, for me, honestly, Thomas Frank can't do this because he hasn't got none of the credibility from his CV that Conte and Jose had, and that's the long and short of it.
So when Pochettino came in from Southampton, he had loads of credibility, did he?
No, but Simon, this is the thing. I've been and watched Thomas Frank, Simon, and I've been and watched,
it's a transition, isn't it? It's a transition. You're saying you took a manager that was 12th from a club that was punching way above its weight.
No, but Simon, you're from the media and you only talk about the bits that are highlighted. You don't talk about when Romero didn't get these yellow cards. You're just talking about he got a red card now. Didn't get one for 3 years. But this is the point, Simon. When we went to watch Poch, we could see something. We were having...
I've seen Romero constantly be an indisciplined player. So it's not a case of I'm from the media and I talk about it. And you're now going to blame the culture. You're now going to give a player an excuse, yeah?
Yeah, Simon.
Well, you're half the problem then, aren't you?
Simon, you've got 5 yellow cards in 2 seasons. You've got 1 yellow card for that whole knockout stage in the Europa League. So obviously the culture is wrong, and it comes from the manager. Because very quickly, Conte took the same lot of crap players that we sold off soon as he was gone, but they weren't good enough. But he got top 4 with it.
And John, before you go, Stephen, before you go, do you agree that Christian Romero is quite right to go on social media and have a blast at whosoever?
Well, yeah, because the reason why I say it, in the middle of the summer, he could have gone. And if he really stuck his feet in, he could have left, yeah? And we've said things to him to make him say, like we did with Harry Kane, like when Harry Kane left.
How do you know? How do you know? You there?
Because he signed the contract.
But how do you know what was said to him or wasn't said to him?
I don't know what
they spent. They spent £200 million.
Simon, you're very quick to defend owners and companies.
I'm not defending owners. I'm giving you a different perspective. No, hang on. Don't tell me what I'm doing. I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm giving you a different perspective. What you're interested in doing is vilifying a certain section rather than looking at it in the whole. £200 million or 210 million euros were spent in the summer.
I agree, Simon. 400 million has been spent by Lange in 2 years.
So Romero has no business going out. He should be concentrating on his game rather than telling other people what they're doing.
I agree with that, Simon, but I'm just trying to say, like you defend the owners, and I agree with a lot of the stuff you say when it comes to ownership, because fans are one-minded and they only want to spend the money on the players, spend the money on wages. So I agree with you on that, Simon. But all I'm saying is this, very easily, mate, and you have to see it from this perspective. Something must have been said for him from talking out about leaving, wanting to play in the Liga, for in the middle of the window when he could still push for a move, sign a new contract.
Okay.
If you don't see it from that side, you're just being
Stephen, thank you very much indeed for the call. We enjoyed that kind of back and forth with Simon. Thanks for joining us. Spurs could do with a win, couldn't they? Maybe they'll get it against Villa in the Cup. We'll see. Just gone 11.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van Range. Commercial vehicles that go the distance for your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With your headlines at 5 minutes past 11, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good morning. A court's heard former Premier League referee David Coote had a sexual video of a 15-year-old boy in school uniform on his laptop. Coote's being sentenced after admitting making an indecent image of a child. Dean Saunders has told us he's gutted to hear of the death of his former Wales and Bradford manager Terry Yorath, aged 75. He played 199 times for Leeds and was a very popular Wales manager. Dino remembers one of Yorath's team talks before beating West Germany 1-0, addressing Barry Horn.
He said, "Barry, have you not got a yellow card?" He went, "No." He went, "Good. So first chance you get, put one of their players in the stand and let's get the crowd behind us. Out you go."
Spurs captain Christian Romero said sorry to the fans after their latest defeat at Bournemouth, but has now edited his Instagram post in which he seemed to criticise the board. We understand Man City will pay Bournemouth £62.5 million for Antoine Semenyo. Our chief football correspondent Alex Crook says not all Man City's Premier League purchases have worked out, but
if anyone is going to go there and prosper under Pep Guardiola, I think it will be him. He's into double figures now for the first half of the season, and that's the big attraction for Guardiola, because we saw again last night, Manchester City, they're still too reliant on Erling Haaland.
Some breaking news. We've just heard David Coote, former Premier League referee, has been given a 9-month prison sentence, and that is suspended for 2 years. And finally, after a disastrous 4-1 Ashes defeat, Ben Stokes backs Brendan McCullum to stay on as head coach and wants to keep his place as captain.
We haven't performed well. We know that. We hold our hands up to that. But no one should ever be able to, or shouldn't question the care and commitment to trying to go out there and give it your absolute best.
Meanwhile, Vice-Captain Harry Brooks on his last warning with the ECB. He's apologised for an altercation with a nightclub bouncer in New Zealand ahead of the tour. There's more on talkSPORT's Following On podcast.
talkSPORT News.
The number of people in hospital with flu in England's risen again slightly, and trains are already being cancelled as the UK prepares for Storm Goretti. There's more from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Come rain or shine, we've got your electric car covered with 400 EV ready centres, so you can drive away happy every time.
In the north, bright spells with some wintry showers. Further south, turning wet and windy. Severe gales later in the far southwest as Storm Goretti moves in.
Good morning, everybody. It is 8 minutes past 11 o'clock. It's Jim White and it's Simon Jordan, and we are live on talkSPORT. This is Thursday, January the 8th. We are whizzing through the month of January. So many big games, so many news stories, so many sackings. Nothing that we're not used to, but on this scale, well, we haven't seen it like this before, that is for sure. Thanks so much to all the fans of all the clubs who call in this show, and you want to be a part of it, and that is fine by us, because your take on things, your opinion is what we're all about, and we are determined to hear it. And no doubt we'll be hearing from a few of you in the next half hour to an hour or so, because I am delighted to say we've been joined by a fellow who played at a very high level for a considerable period of time. Former Newcastle, former Norwich, former Netherlands goalkeeper. He is Tim Krul, and he joins us live in studio this morning. Tim, good morning.
Good morning.
Great to have you on board. Did I hear you say to Mr. Jordan you've been skiing of late?
Yes.
How did that go?
Yeah, it was. I wish I had a GoPro on my head to see the state I went down those slopes, but it was my first winter off in 20 years. So it was nice to take the family away and have the opportunity to go down the slopes, because we're never allowed as a professional football player.
Of course, it's great to have you on board. Tim has graduated from the PFA Business School with a diploma in sports directorship. We're going to get to that. Just before you joined us, Tim, we were talking about the situation last night down at Bournemouth, and Bournemouth beat Tottenham, not for the first time. We saw one or two of the Tottenham players getting involved with their own fans. It appears there's a bit of a disconnect. Did you have that in your time at Newcastle when you were up there? And of course, Mike Ashley was the owner.
Yes, multiple times. and it's hard when you've just lost a game. Obviously, the emotions run high, and there's nothing worse than your own fans giving you abuse. But it's part of the game, and unfortunately, when the emotions run high, you have to contain yourself. And I think this whole thing about players having to clap and doing that round after a loss, I find it really difficult, and I'm not really a big fan of it, because you're literally setting yourself up for, yes, there has to be appreciation. Of course, the fans travelled far, but there's certain times where I've seen games where teams have been abysmal, and they're still going to say, oh yeah, clap and thank you so much for your support, but sometimes you just have to get off. And I think Spurs, especially this season, have multiple moments at home, and then again yesterday, where you just lost, and then you're going to square up to your fans. It's never a good look, is it?
I mean, is it a recipe for disaster to do what Romero keeps on doing? Christian Romero, you'll have heard this as you come into the studio, not for the first time, posting on his own Instagram something cryptic directed at somebody, but the message is there is a disconnect. And the message from Romero, it appears, Tim, is that he's not happy with the hierarchy.
I've been in the changing room with multiple Argentinian teammates, and they're fiery. Their temperament is, and he's a club captain, so he's come home last night, and I've seen he posted it after midnight. He's clearly still very upset with the game, but you have to contain it. If you're posting and you're challenging your ownership after you've just lost and you've been on a horrible run, they've lost many games. There's clearly a disconnect, management, board level, whatever it is, fans, but as a player, you need to be really careful in what you're saying, and you're a role model. So what's this look like for next time you play at home, And he might have a point, yes, but again, like Simon mentioned before, they have invested. There's a lot of changes on board level. They've got this most amazing stadium. The club won a European trophy, so it's not all that bad. But yeah, clearly there's a massive disconnect there, and but yeah, I find it difficult with social media.
I mean, he'll say it's passion, Tim, but it's borderline entitlement, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, as a club captain, you're allowed to say a little bit more, and clearly you have to come out and voice your opinion. But yeah, these are big statements, and as a teammate, I would be having a word with him as a leadership group, like what we're doing here. Are we setting a statement as a group? What we're doing?
If you were the Tottenham goalkeeper this morning, would you have a word with Romero?
Yeah, I think. Listen, he's part of the leadership group, and as a captain, you need to voice the opinion of your team. You've got a responsibility to come out and be that leader of that group. But I'm not quite sure everybody agrees with that opinion he did last night.
What sort of reaction might you get from Romero? Would that bother you?
No, but that's part of Basel. You're a team. You're all fighting your unity, and I've heard a lot over the last few days about everybody needs to share responsibility, from board, management to players. And I do feel the changing room is one of the most important departments in a football club. But they need to be all aligned and not just kind of go different ways like the way they're going at the moment.
I reckon those words used by Tim moments ago and his opinion on this is music to your ears, because you're annoyed, are you not, at players who just do what they want, say what they want, but get away with it?
Well, I'm annoyed with the lack of accountability, because at the end of the day, it's their performances. Everyone else, football is a never land. It's always someone else's responsibility. There's always another game. There's always someone else that spends some money. There's always someone else that owns a football club. There's always another manager. Right? There's always another club. There's a relegation. There's always another club for the players that actually brought the relegation about. So it's a never land. So I dislike the idea that players skate away from the accountability. I recognise the fact that they're talent. You can't throw them to the wolves. There is a difference between a club captain coming out and being put under the spotlight post the game and saying something against a premeditated, written assassination of the people that he works for. In no other walk of life, in no other business, in no other circumstance, public domain or private sector, would you get away with saying things about the people that you work for. It's because of the amount of lionisation of players. It's about the financial returns that they get, that they think they're islands in their own right. They can say what they want. Maresco as manager, when you see managers do it, what hell of a chance have we got of players not doing it? You've got managers talking out of turn, but writing something down as opposed to saying something. In the heat of a moment, you come off the pitch and people go, I'm fed up with this, I'm not happy with that. And the ownership goes, well, you know what? It's the heat of the moment. Some twerp of a journalist has stuck a microphone under a kid's face and he said something. Go home and write something. That's premeditated, it's calculated, and words written down have more impact and longer legs than people saying something off the cuff. And a club captain has no business saying what you said.
Tim, do you agree with Simon that you were one, elite players think they're an island on their own?
I agree a lot with Simon says, but clearly the generation has changed. Social media, players have more voices, like Simon just mentioned there, managers coming out and disagreeing with the board in the open.
Were you amazed about what Maresca was up to?
The last few weeks have been gold for the media, and there's been so many topics lately, what's going on, and people trying to get sacked or with statements. It baffles me. And a lot of this stuff used to be in-house. You have this conversation, you come in the next day, yes, emotions are still running high, but you kind of go over the game and prepare for the next one. But this just seems to run on, and people making statements for their own egos. And at the moment, there's a lot of clubs. I mean, it's sacking season at the moment. And it's just, it's interesting.
Interesting that we're talking about this morning, Tim, because when we come back after this, Tim's next port of call could well be in the boardroom himself. We're going to get to that next, from the goalkeeper's position to the boardroom. That's the route this fella's on, and we're with him all the way. 11:15, and we are live in talkSPORT this Thursday morning. Is this going to be the day, January the 8th, when every Arsenal fan says to each other, yeah, we've got this, it's in the bag. Arsenal against Liverpool tonight is live on the talkSPORT network. And is this the moment that Arsenal fans will say, yes, it's done, or as good as done? Or will Liverpool come right back into it? We shall see. One man who's played at the highest of high levels in the Premier League is with us live in studio. Former Newcastle, Norwich, Netherlands goalkeeper Tim Krul is sitting alongside the man, Mr. Simon Jordan. And Tim, I want to get into this with you now because, with all due respect, mate, the money you've made after playing at such a level in the game, you could, to a degree, put your feet up and think, right, okay, let's travel the world a bit. Let's head off with the Krul family here, there and everywhere. Let's do this, let's do that. But since hanging up his gloves, sparing his blushes, since officially retiring in September, Tim has graduated from the PFA Business School with a diploma in sports directorship, opening up the possibility of himself going into the boardroom and becoming a top club sporting director. So the hard work, in some ways, Tim, might start now. The man to your right will no doubt be ready to give you some points of advice or some guidance or whatever, even things to look out for. Why are you going in this direction?
I think I've been privileged to have 20 years on the pitch, and I've had amazing times, massive ups, massive downs, and I just feel there's this kind of giving back and this experience, what I've learned on the pitch. I've got this hunger to do something off the pitch, and there's nothing better than football. I think it's a privileged position to be in, the sport we're in. It's amazing business, and there's nothing better than kind of creating something with a team. And I think being part of like a operational team or an executive team to do that behind the scenes is something that really always excited me.
And the role of sporting director, why that as opposed to a role like the one you're exhibiting now, as if you're like a studio guest on a radio show, a TV show, as a pundit? Why sporting director?
I think it's a good mix. I think we just spoke about people being more transparent, and I think I like the media. I think you're able to share the experience what I have had over those last few years. But again, to be part of that kind of, I've always been telling people what to do as a goalkeeper. I've always been shouting at people. So to be able to do that and create something in the boardroom, or being bridged with these new owners coming into the country who are clearly very successful business billionaires coming in, but I don't think they have quite got that experience what I've got. It's invaluable to have that 20 years of experience in the changing room, and if we can kind of build a bridge between that and have that kind of partnership, I think it's a match made in heaven, really.
Tim, I've got to say, before we bring in Simon, we've been speaking throughout the week about, amongst other things, the apparent poor decision making in the boardroom. Manchester United have got themselves in a bit of a fix as to what to do with Amorim. That's just one example. What do you think it takes to separate the bluffers from the real thing?
Listen, there's a lot of egos. And I think as a club, I've been at clubs where it felt like three different entities. You've got the changing room, you've got the board, you've got everybody going in different directions. And I think there's this thing when people in suits coming into the changing room felt like these guys were just doing something different. And I think that's why transparency and communication is so key. And I think it's so important to, as a team, all build to the same target. We all want to win trophies. We all want to be part of this successful club, but we need to do it together. And I think you just mentioned Man United there. There's a lot of changes in the board, and people leaving, people coming, people trying to cement a kind of position. But who actually makes the decisions and who actually got the experience to do it? So you need, Simon just talked to me off air there, like you've got people who may be very good in finances, but they haven't got a clue about the actual football and sporting side.
Yeah. What does this fella need to have, Simon, to be a top sporting director?
Well, it depends where he wants to be a sporting director. I mean, if he wants to be a sporting director at a big football club and a Premier League football club and the one that has aspirations, he's going to have to be very multifaceted, I think. I mean, you listen to these guys, and I spend a lot of time with these owners that now talk a different language even than the language that I spoke, because the scale of their wealth is far different to mine, and mine was significant once, but theirs is really significant. And they want people that understand their world as well. Everybody knows that a sporting director that's played football understands the dressing room, understands the manager's culture, understands what a good player looks like and what a bad player looks like, or should, although they shouldn't be anywhere near being someone that's consulting on it. What they don't necessarily do well is understand the finances of how to buy players, how to sell players, how to manage the expectations of an owner. If you can bridge that gap, If you can find the language of communicating with the person that's got the money, i.e. the ultimate owner, and yet fulfilling the outcomes of a sporting outcome, you're going to be one hell of a sporting director. That's not easy, because these guys have got to change their whole way of thinking. They've been on the receiving end of one thing, me, myself and I. What am I getting? What's my contract look like? How is it worth to me? Now they've got to move into a collective thinking, which is what is the benefit? Not collective socialism like some people think, but collective outcomes, which is how do I build a playing squad? What do I look like? What does it build towards? What are my average age of my players? What am I trying to create?
Yeah.
How much the players cost? Why am I buying these players? Why am I selling these players? Understanding it and being really accountable for it. Because football people are really, really good at wanting all the responsibility and not very good at having any of the accountability for decisions that they make.
So he's really saying, Tim, it's a piece of cake, mate. This is a walk in the park. Here's the thing, though, Tim. In the modern game, you can obviously relate to what goes on in the dressing room. Obviously. That's been your home for the past couple of decades. Could you relate and deal with and effectively operate on behalf of, say, a US hedge fund ownership at a Premier League club or a nation state ownership at a Premier League club?
It's a massive task, and I don't think it's just a one-person project. You know, you need to work as a team, and I think it's like we just say, am I a full-time financial expert at the moment? No, but I do have lots of topics that I'm really good at, and this is where you need, like, I'm hungry to learn, and I'm not the finished product anywhere near yet, but I've got a lot to give there to the hunger to learn, like we just mentioned before, to go and look in the kitchen at some amazing experts of their game. And this, with the PFA, with the diploma and the masters, it gives you the opportunity to learn from these experts in the game.
How involved, Tim, do you think a sporting director should be? Would you be recommending players to a manager? Would you be telling a player, we've got to buy so-and-so? Would you be in the dressing room after the game wearing your suit, shirt and tie, as you will now do in future?
You know, well, you've got directors of football, you've got sporting directors, they've got all these kind of different titles. And ultimately, like I just said, it's unity, it's working together. And I'm not a big fan of players directors coming into changing rooms and giving their opinion there and there. It's the changing room is for the players.
Why is that?
I feel like
and players only.
At the moment, straight after a game, it's players only. These emotions run high. People just need to find their emotions and settle themselves down. Yeah, the next day we'll have a chat, but not these busy people when you just won a game high-fiving and all this kind of stuff. No, not for me.
So from what we hear at Chelsea, and you know more than I do, Simon, on this one, if Bowling and Bally stroll into the dressing room afterwards, if you were a Chelsea player, Tim, you wouldn't really fancy that.
No. Like, listen, everybody does their business different. And I don't think there's a black and white, out and out, this is how you should do it. And every club is different. There's community clubs, there's massive nation-run hedge fund clubs. And this is where, again, you just have to find your feet. And what will do for you is something different at certain other clubs.
I noticed you in the last commercial break, you're right into chat with Simon. You have a genuine thirst for knowledge in this area, Tim. Of that, there is no doubt. Am I right?
Yeah. No, I've been really privileged with experts, with people who are willing to help me, and like one of them is the PFA CEO Maheta Malango, and you need people like that in your life that push you in the right direction. If you asked me 6, 7, 8 years ago, I'm going to be sitting here and learning to be a sporting director, I told you were mad. But I had a really bad injury at 29, and I realized there's more to life than just football, and you need to start exploring, and that's what the PFAs gave me, that kind of opportunity to learn and explore if that's the direction I want to head to.
Tim, you might have seen the expression in his face change when the name Maheta Malango was mentioned. But Tim is having to deal with him and is choosing to deal with him, even though you don't particularly rate that organisation.
I think they're useless. I think they're a waste of time. I think he's not a leader. If he's going to be a sporting director, he needs to be a leader. And ultimately, you can gain experience from other people. You can listen to other people. And you can have 2 ears, 2 eyes, and 1 mouth, right? But also, in the end, you've got to make your own decisions. You've got to be a leader. And if you're a leader, if he's a leader, and the goalkeepers often are. I remember we had Amir Begovic in here about 6, 7 months ago, and I liked him very much as too, because being a goalkeeper means you're single-minded, because a lot of the time you're having to focus on one thing, keeping yourself focused. You're not involved in the game, you're just making sure that you're involved in the game. So it has a certain outlook. He's either a leader or he's not. You know, coming out of the PFA, I have no respect for that organisation because I've dealt with them. I think they're cowardly in the way that they operate, and I don't think they're very efficient.
What do you think of them?
But if he's utilised them to expand,
yeah, like 10 years ago, I would agree there was no support, but the people in charge now are definitely making big changes, and I've seen it firsthand. I needed people to reach out to 5, 6 years ago, and PFA were there. So for me, I've got a really personal.
You've got a good experience.
No, but multiple people, and things have changed.
Yeah, because you find, right?
And that's
because you find.
And what Simon says, you, like for me, he's a good expert and somebody I look up to, and that's it. But you pick and choose. This is it. If you can learn from different people in the game, and you pick 20% of him, and some things. I've had so many managers in my life, and I've not met the perfect one yet. So you pick and choose bits and bobs.
I am seeing many messages, Tim, and a lot of love for you out there, especially from Newcastle United fans. You won't be surprised to hear, which is great. Anyway, you're talking about goalkeepers and goalkeepers being focused. At Palace, did your guy not wear pyjama bottoms or something?
Gabon Corelli, absolutely. Yeah, he did wear pyjama bottoms.
But he could play, couldn't he?
And he was asleep in them at one time when we got relegated.
It's 11:30. More from Tim Krul in a second.
Darren Fletcher's confirmed to us he'll be in the Old Trafford dugout this weekend. Man United host Brighton in the FA Cup live on talkSPORT on Sunday. United drew 2-2 with Burnley in the league. We understand Solskjaer's nearing a return. Keith Andrews says his Brentford side, meanwhile, is becoming more versatile. They move up to 5th with a 3-0 win over Sunderland, but the pressure increases on Thomas Frank at Spurs, who definitely didn't notice being handed an Arsenal-branded cup before the defeat at Bournemouth.
I think actually it's a little bit sad in football that I need to be asked a question about that.
Just one win in 6 for Spurs. Mickey van der Ven appeared to offer a fan out for a fight. Bergvall and Bentancur both came off injured before Antoine Semenyo's last-minute winner, which Andoni Iraola called a fairy tale ending for Semenyo at the Vitality.
Again, I've got to prepare the team. It'll be a great honour, FA Cup game at Old Trafford, but we've got to recover from this.
Semenyo's due for his Man City medical today. They dropped more points in a draw at home to Brighton, and talkSPORT's Mickey Gray says Guardiola looks drained.
It just felt like last night he was a little bit frustrated. Look, they're creating chances, but at the minute they're just not seeing games out. They've got to score that second goal to win football matches.
Arsenal can go 8 points clear with a win at home to Liverpool, live on talkSPORT tonight. And with a review into England's very disappointing 4-1 Ashes defeat already underway, Vice-Captain Harry Brooks on his last warning. He's apologised for an altercation with a bouncer in New Zealand at a nightclub ahead of the Ashes. And coach Brendan McCullum accepts tweaks are needed. There's more on talkSPORT's cricket YouTube channel.
It is Thursday morning, it's January the 8th, it's Jim White and it's Simon Jordan. We are live in talkSPORT. Thursday being Thursday, later on this morning we'll talk boxing. Spencer Oliver will be in studio with us. And of course, after what happened to poor Anthony Joshua over in Nigeria, we want to know how he is. For the first time we'll hear from Eddie Hearn, Anthony's promoter. Short and sweet, Eddie was about to board a flight from the Caribbean to New York. Big fight coming up with Dalton Smith this weekend. But he has a very, very brief chat with myself about AJ, and we'll bring that to you. In the meantime, Tim Krul in studio with Simon and myself this morning. Tim spent the majority of his career at Newcastle, making 185 appearances from 2005 to 2017, establishing himself from 2010 onwards. So Tim has been a big part of what that club has achieved in the game, and is a big name in terms of the players that this great club has had in the past. Tim, I know you're proud of the Newcastle attachment that you still very much have. What do you make of the job that Eddie Howe has done thus far? He's had a bit of criticism this season because the expectation was huge around Newcastle going into this season. Saudi-owned Newcastle. Thus far, what do you think the job he's done?
I think he's been amazing. I think taking over Newcastle in relegation position, he's clearly... Listen, he's brought the first trophy to the club after so many years. I think the way he conducts himself under pressure, I think there's been a lot of changes over the years with clearly board level. He's been under pressure this summer, obviously, with transfers out, transfers in. I've got a really big admiration for Eddie. And I mean, I'm pleased they've won those 3 games in a row over Christmas to just kind of set them back into the table because they had a bad start.
I know you know Eddie and you talk to each other quite a bit, but are you still of the opinion that Eddie's not the man that will bring big prizes to Newcastle United?
Not because Eddie's not the man to do it, because the runway that he's going to have to do it on is not going to give him the opportunity to do so. He can't build a football club in the way that Man City were built and the way that Chelsea were built because they don't have the financial wherewithal, given the governance, to be able to compete with these guys. Arsenal at 500 or 600 million, Liverpool at 500 or 600 million, Man City at 500 or 600 million, Man United at 500 or 600 million, Newcastle at 300 million. How are you going to be able to build the scale with PSR governance in the timeline, unless he's going to be given a job in perpetuity for 10, 12 years, which he won't be because circumstances will change for him, then I don't see how he wins the Premier League. I don't see how he wins the Champions League because he can't fight fire with fire.
But was that your reason for your judgment when you first said that? Because you were comparing, I think, if memory serves me right, you were comparing Eddie to someone like Mark Hughes in management.
I don't know if I was. I don't know if that was
at Man City.
I don't know if I was, but yeah, I was suggesting that Mark Hughes was a gatekeeper because what he did was a placeholder. He came in and he signed with.
And you said the same thing about Eddie.
Well, yeah, because Mark Hughes didn't get the opportunity to get the full length and breadth of the opportunity that was going to be presented to him. Man City went. Mark Hughes is a good manager. His currency is quite high. I remember them. I remember Man City coming playing Palace when I owned them, and everyone was saying the haves against the have-nots. And Robinho had just been signed, and all the noise about Man City was starting to really rev up. Tijuana Archer had been gotten rid of. The Saudis were in there, or the Middle East. Sorry, the Abu Dhabi guys were in there, and their money was starting to be effective. But Mark Hughes wasn't given the runway. Slightly different at Newcastle because the whole landscape of PSR has changed. Man City weren't being caught in the same way that Newcastle are, and Chelsea weren't getting caught, or so more to the point, Man City weren't getting caught the same way that Chelsea weren't getting caught. So with all that in mind, it's not about Eddie's capabilities, although I had reservations about them. I felt that his team at Bournemouth couldn't defend. And when they stopped scoring goals, potentially they found themselves relegated from the division. I felt he'd ducked the limelight of Celtic and bottled it, but I was wrong. And when I spent time with him, I realised, and I saw the job that he's done at Newcastle, which on the whole has been brilliant.
Yeah,
I think he's a fabulous football manager. I think he's a fabulous fella, but I just don't think Newcastle are going to be given the runway economically to buy their way into the position that gives them the Liverpool opportunity, the Arsenal opportunity, the Man United opportunity, because how are they going to do it?
Do you agree with that, Tim?
Yes, well, clearly the numbers are against Newcastle compared to the competitors, and that's even more impressive what he's done with Newcastle. I mean, they're fighting on all fronts. The Champions League, they're flying. Carabao Cup semi-final again, having that trophy last year. So yes, like I said, I've got lots of admiration for Eddie and where the club is now compared to where it was 10 years ago. Clearly, but that just shows you the job he's done. That people are putting a scrutiny on him this year. The expectation he single-handedly has changed to the fans.
I bet you celebrated like mad when they won the Carabao Cup.
I was there. I was in the stadium, and to see them lifting that trophy and kind of seeing the Geordies going mental. It's what they've waited for all those years, and that's what the Geordies have wanted.
See, he hates me talking about that, referring to that. But that was a phenomenal day. And we quite rightly, Tim, did a huge piece about it the following morning. Newcastle United, whether we like it or not, Tim, attracts a huge loving from many of us in the media because of how they go about it and how their fans go about it. You must know that. They love you for what you did.
I've had a cracking time. I was a 17-year-old boy arriving in Newcastle, and I left at 28. So I've been sitting with them. The first year I actually sat with the away fans and kind of got the full power of what the Geordies are about. So yeah, listen, I can definitely relate to that. So listen, I'm happy the way the club, where it's going. I do think they've got steps to make. I hope the ownership are backing them what they said they are with the new stadium. And I think that's where Eddie is waiting for, and I think he came out a few weeks ago that he wants that backing.
This is your department. What have they got in Nick Pope and Aaron Ramsdale?
Two great goalkeepers. For me, Nick Pope is the better option. I do think so. I think as a number two, Ramsdale hasn't really taken his opportunity this year. He played 7 games, 0 clean sheets. Listen, he's a top England talented goalkeeper, but Nick Pope is definitely my preferred option.
There is a suggestion these days that maybe playing out with his feet, that's where Pope runs into a bit of trouble. How are you in that front?
I'm Dutch, so I had to be a lot better. It wasn't my strongest point. Listen, Edison set the base. He literally set he came to the country and he killed all of us, really, with the level he was able to play at. And he was the 11th outfield player. Yes, Nick Pope is nowhere near that level, but he's one of the best shot stoppers in the country. And that's ultimately what you're going to get judged on. And I did see moments where, because Aaron Ramsdale is a lot better with his feet, I see Nick Pope trying to kind of push that side of his game and try to look for passes. That's not his game. So he just needs to go back to what he is. And that's the reason why Newcastle, he's one of the main reasons why Newcastle has been so successful.
We're in the season of the set piece, Tim. Why do some goalkeepers find it difficult to command their area?
It's hard. It's a land of the giants. If you see the physical power that's come into the Premier League over the last few years, it's when they literally put 6-7 players around you, there's nothing worse than you're getting blocked in. And yes, they get a lot of protection, but to command your box is one of your major topics that a goalkeeper needs to be able to do. And
who were you wary of when you played? When there was a corner given against you, you thought, oh God, not him.
Yeah, Kevin Nolan. He used to have the biggest backside in the league, and he literally just pin you down, and it was hard. And the worst thing I see goalkeepers do now is they fight. They try to kind of fight with the strikers. They need to give themselves that kind of space to give them to go and attack it. But a lot of goalkeepers at the moment are killing themselves really with trying to get involved with situations they shouldn't.
Who's the best goalkeeper in the Premier League, Tim?
I've got a big love for Alisson, but he's been obviously injured this year. Donnarumma is top.
Yeah.
So for me up there this
What
year.
about Raya at Arsenal?
Yeah. He's the level in goalkeeping has really gone up over the years, and Raya has been over the years Golden Glove. So he's definitely got a stake to make there in the top 3.
And it's World Cup year. So you played 15 times for the Netherlands. What can they do? I think you're in a group, Japan, Tunisia, and still to be confirmed from the playoffs. So can the Dutch win it?
I think it's a bit similar as England. The expectations of reaching the semi-final is the minimum, the bare minimum. But I hope so, obviously as a Dutchman. But I don't, deep down, honestly, I don't think I think being in America, I can see more like a Spanish or South American country do better than the Dutch and the English, if I'm honest.
And not just because you're sitting right beside Edward Longshanks. Do you fancy England?
Not to win it. They should with the talent, but I can't. I mean, your reliance on Harry Kane is massive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jude Bellingham is another player that makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. A final one from me to you, and there's quite a number of Liverpool fans asking me to ask you, what's your take on Arne Slot?
Well, unbelievable winning the league last year. Clearly, massive challenges this year. And he had to deal with a lot of negativity and massive challenges, obviously, the start of the season with Jota and players leaving. And I don't think they replaced their star players as well as they should have this year. So, yeah, he's going through a bit of a patch, but I feel like they're heading the right direction again. They've had some great results somehow. They're grinding them out and they're finding a way to win this year.
Mm-hmm. How would you find life if you had Virgil van Dijk in front of you and you were still playing at the moment, Tim?
Well, his first game for Holland is when I did my ACL playing for Holland. So that was his debut, and he's a man mountain. So to have a leader like that in front of you is a dream for any goalkeeper. So I would have had a few more clean sheets, I reckon, if I had him in front of me at the clubs I was at.
But this version of him at the moment, Tim, has been a different one, hasn't it? To be fair,
it has, but I think there's more reasoning for the players around him as well. I think having Andy Robertson and Trent and those kind of quality next to him would give him a lot more confidence. At the moment with Kirkus and Konate, who's been awful, I feel like this year, I think has put him in a bit more back foot as such.
Tim, it's been great having you in your studio. Arsenal Liverpool tonight, what do you think?
Big one for Arsenal. They really can stake their claim, and I hope they do it because they've been so close the last few years. So hopefully it's Arteta's year this year.
Who wins the league, do you think?
It has to be
you think
Arsenal?
Arsenal?
You think Arsenal?
Yeah.
So the next time we see you, you'll be coming through the door of the studio. You'll be wearing a suit shirt and tie. Sporting director of Real Madrid, Tim Krul, joins us live.
That'd be lovely.
That'd be all right, wouldn't it?
That'd be good. Yeah.
Get a nice ring to it.
Hopefully Simon will be my expert to help me.
He'll be long gone by then. Tim, brilliant. You're always brilliant. Tim Krul, great to see you, mate. Thank you so much for your time today. And we wish you well in your quest to become a formidable figure in the boardroom, just as you were in the goalmouth. Thank you so much. Tim Krul with us live in talkSPORT.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. We're ready for the action. Are you? Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18 plus. Gambleaware.org.
Our thanks to Tim Krul again. My goodness, quite a reaction to Tim stopping by there. All of it good, I hasten to add. It's always good when Sean Martin from BetMGM joins us on the show, and Sean is with us this morning. Sean, good morning. What about last night's Premier League action? What are you thinking?
Morning, lads. Yeah, absolute mayhem trying to keep up with all those scores last night, wasn't it? Got to start in the North East. Not a good night from my BetMGM colleague Matt Gibson. He not only had to sit on his hands at St James's Park as he thought Leeds had won the match 3 different times. He then had to endure a 102nd minute Newcastle winner, and then he checked his phone and realised the 12-1 treble that he tipped up live on national radio to you guys was dead in the water.
Oh, lovely.
A 0 from 3 strike rate. But it was a good night for Arsenal, who didn't even play because City and Villa dropped more points. A good night also for Brentford, who beat Sunderland 3-0 and are way up in 5th, now having played the same games as all the teams below them, which is some going. Another win for Fulham as well. Both them and Brentford are top 4 in the form table over the last 5, top 6 over the last 10. Gents, I said this to the guys earlier. I think this season's Prem has almost got a bit of a championship feel to it, in the sense that there are so many teams bunched up. I think there's only 8 points between 4th and 15th, that a couple of wins shoots you right up the table and a couple of losses pushes you back to kind of the bottom third, if not the bottom 3, because they're kind of cut away. And that's maybe not always the case in the Premier League. On that note, Newcastle also in good form, as Matt found out last night. They're into 7s for top 4 now. Man United sitting at 9-2, and Brentford now into 16-1 to cause a bit of uproar and muscle their way in there by the end of the season as well. But as I say, the way things are going, they could just as likely be back in the bottom half after their next 5, which I think is against Chelsea, Forest, Villa, Newcastle and Arsenal, Jim. So who knows?
Okay, Arsenal in action tonight, of course. talkSPORT exclusive, Arsenal against Liverpool. What's your thinking on this one, Sean? This is massive.
It is massive, yeah. I mentioned there last night was a good night for Arsenal. Tonight could be even better. It's a chance to make another big statement in the mould of their win over Villa just before the new year. They're 11-20 favourites to do just that. 7 wins on the spin, all competitions as well. Though as much as Liverpool have been pretty unconvincing and their last 2 games were draws, they're still coming into this 8 unbeaten and only 1 loss in 8 against the Gunners, including winning the reverse fixture earlier this season as well, which seems a long time ago now, Jim. Liverpool a big price at 5-1, which I'm sure will entice a few, hoping that they've got, for want of a better phrase, a puncher's chance. 16-5 the draw, which probably isn't the worst for either side. And in an attempt to one-up Matt Gibson this week, my own thinking for this one is 17-2 for an Arsenal win, both teams to score, and Gabriel to have a shot on target since he's been on the score sheet in both games since coming back to the starting 11. Arsenal brilliant from set pieces. Liverpool decidedly not great defensively. But what's your feeling, lads? Is Arteta going to send them out to make a statement, or should I be swapping Arsenal to win for a draw, maybe, given his record against Liverpool and City isn't actually that great?
I think you've got to be. You do fancy Arsenal at home tonight, don't you?
I do. I don't think
to win it.
Yeah, I do. I don't think it's a gimme. I think Liverpool have reorganised themselves. They've lost some of their potency and some of their poise that Danny Murphy was talking about yesterday, and they've become a little bit more functional, which was the framing of the question that you put to Danny, which makes them more difficult to beat. But Arsenal, I think, are, after their Villa victory, that was, to me, the credentials. Villa were the pretenders coming up and saying, people saying, they're title contenders. Wallop. Reality. Emery has been wanting to score points of Arsenal ever since he left. Right? And he has scored points repeatedly off Arsenal, gone there and got points, and everyone's gone, look, he's teaching his old employers a lesson. This was the reality when Villa were being considered real potential title challengers, and Arsenal went, thank you for the first half, smack. That's what I think tells the reasons why Arsenal are in the nick that they're in, the squad that they've got, the leadership they've got. Declan Rice is flying. Yeah. So here you go. I think they'll beat Liverpool tonight.
I think Liverpool don't win it, but I think they don't lose it either. What does that tell you? Commentary from Sam Matterface and former England midfielder, someone called Danny Murphy, later. Sam Matterface in conversation tomorrow on the show, incidentally, with Rangers boss Danny Roll. Boxing, Subrel Matthias against Dalton Smith in Brooklyn. What are you thinking, Sean Martin?
Yeah, I mean, Ajit Kabayel's also in action this weekend, but for me, the focus has got to be Dalton Smith over in Brooklyn and going for the WBC world title at light welterweight. His first fight out in the US, it's another Sheffield fighter going for a world title. It's the same week the film about Naz comes out as well. I don't know, there's something about that just feels right to me. That said, he's not the favourite against Subriel Mateus, who is on probation for a failed VADA test, actually. Tough fight. The Puerto Rican, very much world level. Bit of a knockout artist, 22 of his 23 wins been stoppages, but he has been beaten twice, which we shouldn't forget. Smith unbeaten, 13 stoppages from 18, so decent enough KO rate. Notably, had a wee look at his record, and he said around 14 knockdowns across his last 9 fights, so knockdown market's maybe one for folk to have a look at too. As I say, he is the underdog here, but not massively so. Mateus is 8-13 and Smith is 11-8. Simon, I do seem to remember you intimating that you rate Dalton Smith. I also know he said himself he not only wants to win a world title, but he wants to defend a world title at Hillsborough. That's part 1A of that plan this weekend, isn't it? Do you reckon now it's his time? Does he get the job done?
It's a tough fight. I mean, they shouldn't even be having to fight this guy. The guy's a drugs cheat. And this is WBC in their finest again, giving people opportunities to find a way round the challenges of failing drugs tests. It's a tough fight for Dalton. It's a different level of fighter than the ones that he's fought against. And I think the conventional wisdom in the room, if you talk to Spencer or Paul Smith or people of that nature, they think it's a difficult ask. And it looks like a points decision. And I think narrowly, Mateus might nick this because he's fighting in New York. He's been forced to fight over this as a Puerto Rican with a big following in that part of the world. Difficult one. I hope so. Dalton deserves it. You know, his father's a great trainer. He's a great fighter. And obviously we're all looking at Dalton Smith at some point fighting Adam Azim. I hope he comes back with a world title. I have reservations about this one for him.
11-5 for Mateus by decision. And yeah, to be fair, I agree with you. It's always difficult for a British fighter to go to America in particular and win.
It's been done. Kell Brook did it. I mean, I went to the original Lloyd Hannigan versus Donald Curry fight in '86. He did it, but it's difficult to get a points decision. He's going to have to go and stop him, I think.
Yeah. I suppose what I'd be worried about is Dalton Smith's fights. If you watch them, like low blows, head clashes, all that kind of stuff, probably count against him if that kind of stuff starts happening again.
Okay. Sean, thank you very much indeed. We will talk further about Mateus against Dalton Smith in Brooklyn this weekend when Spencer Oliver joins us after this upcoming break at 12 noon. Thanks to BetMGM. Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18 plus, be gamble aware. .org.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Keep things golden with responsible play at betmgm.co.uk. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van range. Scoring a winning hat-trick of performance, payload and price. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van centre.
With your headlines at 2 minutes past 12, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good afternoon. Former Premier League ref David Coote's been spared jail despite admitting to downloading an indecent image of a child. Coote's got a 9-month sentence, suspended for 2 years. He's also been ordered to do 150 hours community service. talkSPORT's Dean Saunders says he's gutted to hear the news of Terry Yorath's death, aged 75.
He took over the Welsh squad and we were in trouble. He got us to 27th in the world. He managed to get... We had a load of good players at the time. He managed to get us all in the team, and we all enjoyed turning up for him.
Terry's daughter Gabby Logan had to leave Match of the Day midway through the programme last night. A statement from Yorath's children calls him a quiet, kind and gentle man. Yorath won the league in the 70s with Leeds and was very popular Wales manager. Tim Krul has told White and Jordan Christian Romero might have had a point, but the Spurs captain should not have criticised the club on Instagram.
There's clearly a disconnect. Management, board level, whatever it is, fans. But as a player, you need to be really careful in what you're saying. And you're a role model. So what's this look like for next time you play at home?
After Tottenham's latest defeat at Bournemouth, Romero posted at times like this, it should be other people coming out to speak, but they don't. We understand Man City are paying £62.5 million for Antoine Semenyo over 2 years. Semenyo is due for his City medical today. And with an ECB review already underway, Ben Stokes wants to stay on as England captain and backs Brendan McCullum to remain as head coach, despite their 4-1 Ashes humbling. Meanwhile, Harry Brooks said sorry for an altercation with a nightclub bouncer in New Zealand ahead of the tour. Brooks on his last warning with the ECB and has been fined 30 grand. There's more on talkSPORT's Cricket YouTube.
talkSPORT News.
Festive gatherings may have led to a bounce back in winter viruses. The number of people in hospital with flu is up again. And Storm Goretti hits the UK, bringing danger to life warnings, snow and 90-mile-an-hour winds. There's more from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. For a limited time only, get 15% off a set of 4 selected premium tyres. Don't miss out and book today at quickfit.com and drive away happy every time. Conditions apply.
In the north, bright spells with some wintry showers. Further south, turning wet and windy. Severe gales later in the far southwest as Storm Goretti moves in.
It is 4 minutes past 12 noon this Thursday lunchtime. It's Jim White and it's Simon Jordan, and we are live on talkSPORT. Very shortly, we'll hear from former Tottenham defender Graham Roberts, who pays tribute to the former Tottenham and England forward Martin Shivers, who died at the age of 80. Shortly, too, we'll be joined in studio by Spencer Oliver as we will talk boxing, and Eddie Hearn gives us a, albeit brief, update on how Anthony Joshua is faring following that dreadful car accident over in Nigeria. In the meantime, it's time for this.
Transfer window update on talkSPORT with Intuit QuickBooks. Tackle your self-assessment with Intuit QuickBooks. Search QuickBooks to find out more.
I'm delighted to say we are joined by talkSPORT's top man, Chief Football Correspondent Alex Krul joins us live in studio as the clock is ticking with January in mind and the transfer window, of course, set to close very early on at the start of next month. Alex, good afternoon to you. Antoine Semenyo, the scorer of that great Bournemouth goal last night. Is it goodbye and is he heading to Manchester City?
Good afternoon, Jim. Yeah, I have to say I was at the Vitality last night. You don't get many of these sort of fairy tale moments in football, but it was a fairy tale farewell for Antoine Semenyo, and time almost stood still inside the ground when the ball broke to him just outside the penalty area. Bournemouth in desperate need of a victory. No wins in 11 before last night. He picks out the bottom corner, and with that, he waves goodbye. He's in Manchester this morning, despite some suggestions elsewhere that maybe Liverpool could come in and hijack this deal. That was never really in the offing. And we've now got the financial details as well. We know there was a £60 million release clause when Semenyo signed a new contract at Bournemouth last summer. My understanding is that Manchester City are paying slightly above that, £62.5 million in instalments over the next 2 years. There's another 1.5 million in bonuses. So it's a 64 million deal all in. That is a club record sale for Bournemouth, eclipsing what Tottenham paid for Dominic Solanke. And I think from Bournemouth's perspective, they feel like it's good business getting Semenyo to sign a new contract last summer, getting him to play for them for another 6 months in the process. And even while these negotiations have been ongoing, he hasn't downed tools. He's kept plugging away, and that could be a really important victory last night. So a great deal for Bournemouth. Great move for Antoine Semenyo. And I think Manchester City need him, because we've seen again last night, outside of Erling Haaland, they are struggling to score goals. Semenyo already in double figures. I think Pep Guardiola believes he's someone who can make a real contribution to Manchester City moving forward.
Wow, 64 million quid, Alex tells us. If you're Bill Foley at Bournemouth, Simon, what are you going to do with some of that?
Well, Bill Foley that told you that he could match anybody pound for pound and is now selling all their players because the reality of the football pyramid comes into play. Bigger clubs take your best players. Kirkis to Liverpool, someone else to Real Madrid, and this guy to Manchester City. It's a troubling time, because ultimately, how does the manager keep on trying to turn wine into water, or water into wine in this instance? I mean, look, it must be a wonderful position to be in a football club where you can buy all the best players in the Premier League and watch the visions arrive at 65 million quid. I mean, haven't they got an embarrassment of riches on that left-hand side?
They sure have, yeah. Tell us about Jurgen Strand-Larsen at Wolves.
Well, this is a player who obviously was subject to strong interest from Newcastle in the summer. I still think it's one of the worst things that Wolves could have done, really, rejecting offers around £60 million. I think he will leave. I think he'll go for a bit less than that now. 40 million seems to be the asking price. And I've mentioned this to you before, Jim. Nottingham Forest, one to keep an eye on when it comes to Strand-Larsen. Arno Calamuendo has just been allowed to leave Forest to join Frankfurt on loan with the option of a permanent deal at the end of the season. Chris Wood is injured, so they are short-handed at the top end of the pitch. And this just seems to me the perfect player to come in and play for Sean Dyche. And obviously Forest can offer European football in the second half of the season as well. Wolves have improved of late, no question about that. Another battling point for them, albeit against 9 men of Everton last night. But they are still going down. They're realistic about that. So they are open to selling not just Strand-Larsen in this window, but probably João Gomez as well.
Strand-Larsen, let me just check in with the man to my left, Mr. Simon Jordan, who I think I heard chime in with the word useless.
Yeah, Emperor's New Clothes, mate. Pay £50 million for that rubbish. Good luck.
Why? Why are you not having him?
Because he's poor. I mean, I don't. I mean, he's a. I mean, look at him the other day. He couldn't even take a bleeding penalty when they needed him to step up and do it. I think he's a poor player. I think 50 million quid. I mean, Wolves, 60 million quid. Wolves sort of sent him around in a cab, gift wrapped.
Okay, thanks for that. What are you hearing at Manchester United this morning then, Alex? Darren Fletcher, of course, will carry on after the drawn match at Burnley last night. Where are we at with them?
Yes, I think that was expected. I think it was always the plan that he would get these 2 games, obviously dropping more points away from home last night. Manchester United, massive game, live and exclusive on talkSPORT against Brighton in the FA Cup on Sunday, and one they really need to win in terms of having any hope of silverware this season. So I'd expect Darren Fletcher to name his strongest possible side for that game. It is a 2-horse fight, I think, for the interim role until the end of the season. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, as we've mentioned over the last 48 hours, feels like he's the front runner. That does feel like the direction of travel, but don't totally rule out Michael Carrick. He's due to hold face-to-face talks with Jason Wilcox, the sporting director, and Omar Barada, the chief executive, over the next 48 hours, and then Manchester United will make a decision. I know there has been some talk that maybe it could be a shared role between the two. I don't see that outcome. I think, if anything, maybe it could be Ollie as number 1 and Carrick as number 2, but we will learn more in the next couple of days. What I would say, there are just a few rumblings that if this doesn't work out for Manchester United, if they don't finish in Europe with an interim in charge, then maybe there'll be a bit of spotlight turned on Jason Wilcox. I think a lot of Manchester United fans would say rightly so, because you look at the decision-making over the last year or two, and it's not been great.
Alex, thank you very much indeed. Thanks to Intuit QuickBooks. That was an update on the transfer dealings around the country. Search QuickBooks and you will find out more.
Transfer window update on talkSPORT with Intuit QuickBooks. Tackle your self-assessment with Intuit QuickBooks. Search QuickBooks to find out more.
I mentioned earlier the sad passing. Well, we lost Terry Yorath, of course, former Leeds United and Wales player. And almost around the same time, the former Tottenham Hotspur and England forward Martin Shivers has died. He was 80. Terry Yorth was 75. Martin Shivers led the attack for Bill Nicholson's Spurs side from the early 1970s, won the League Cup twice, won the UEFA Cup. He scored 13 goals in 24 England caps. Former Rangers and Tottenham Hotspur defender Graham Roberts knew Martin Shivers very well. And just before we came on air, he was about to set on a flight up to Glasgow. I spoke to Graham Roberts, who gave me the reaction to the sad news of Martin Shivers passing.
Oh, I was absolutely gutted, Jim. You know, like on Sunday, we was at the game, all working together. He looked healthy. He said he had a minor operation on Monday, but it was like a gallbladder operation. He said it'd be fine. And then 2 days later, he's died. And it's just, well, we're devastated. I've spoken to all the ex-players who work and all the players, you know, who have played with him, and everybody's just stunned. You know, we just don't know what to say to each other.
Graham, like you, he worked at home games as a Tottenham Hotspur ambassador, and he wore the blazer with pride, didn't he?
Very much so, Jim. He was, you know, when you worked with him and you walked into the boxes and walked into the corporate departments, you know, everybody just looks at him because he had that aura about him, Jim. And it was a delight to work with him. He is going to be really, really missed at the club. And, you know, everybody yesterday were really upset because we just didn't see it coming.
Martin Shivers, he won the League Cup twice. He won the UEFA Cup, as did you, Graham. You held it aloft. How would you assess Martin Shivers' contribution to the Tottenham Hotspur cause?
Oh, amazing. Bill Nicholson used to hammer Martin. Like, Martin would score 3 goals and he would say to him, you should have scored 4 or 5. And, you know, he had that aura about him on the pitch. And I knew Martin from when he was at Southampton. I used to be, when I was an apprentice. You know, he was just such a lovely man. And he was a brilliant, brilliant striker. You know, his goal records speak for themselves. And, you know, after Jimmy, I think Martin was number 2. And then Harry's just pushed him out to number 3 now, I think. And Bill Nicholson, when he had his testimonial, he used to hammer Martin when he played for him, but he asked him to lead him out and let Bill hold his arm so that he could walk out onto the pitch. So that shows you just how much Martin was a favourite at Spurs. And I went last night to the game and they started singing his name before the game, and the fans loved him. You know, he was a brilliant, brilliant person.
Graham Roberts speaking there about the former Tottenham Hotspur and England forward Martin Shivers, who has died at the age of 80. Graham Roberts on his way up to Glasgow. He's going to be on stage up there tonight, as I understand it, with former Rangers players, the likes of Mark Hateley and Mark Walters. That should be entertaining in itself. In a moment, we'll be talking boxing with Spencer Oliver. It's that time, isn't it? And in he struts with that familiar swagger. Spencer Oliver is in our midst this Thursday lunchtime as we talk boxing. And of course, even though it's January the 8th and we're moving along, Happy New Year, Spencer.
Happy New Year to you, Jim. Simon, how are you?
I saw you on Tuesday.
Just asking how you was, mate.
That was nice. Well, that was a warm and friendly exchange on January the 8th. Spencer, on a more serious note, an uncertain look for the heavyweight division in 2026 thus far. And of course, tragedy plays a part in the equation here. Over Christmas, just before New Year, Anthony Joshua was injured in a car crash in Nigeria, which killed two of his nearest friends and members of his team. Anthony was a passenger in the vehicle that collided with a stationary truck on a major expressway in Ogun State, near Lagos, Nigeria. The two men who died were Joshua's close friends, Sinigami and Latif Latsi Ayodele. Now, we're wondering how AJ is, as many people are at the moment, because quite recently he attended a double funeral of his two friends. Spoke to Eddie Hearn, Anthony Joshua's promoter, before we came on air this morning. And Eddie was heading up to New York, Dalton Smith in action up there. But he took a very brief time out as he boarded the plane to give me this update on AJ.
You know, Jim, I think, to be honest, at this stage, it's definitely a no comment from us, just because of the, respect to Anthony. Obviously, everything that he's been through, the tragic loss of Cena and Lats, and at the moment, Anthony needs time, time and privacy, and there'll be no conversations from us about a career, any move, what's next. This is a terrible tragedy, and Anthony's going to need his own time, physically and emotionally. And, at the moment, there's nothing to discuss or say. Let's give him his time and, pray for him and, of course, all the families involved in this terrible incident.
That was Eddie Hearn just before we came on air. Spencer, when you look at it, he's lost his two close friends, but people he totally relied on throughout his career, Sinagami and Latif Latsi Ayodele. And, of course, it probably makes you think of the people that were close to you when you were fighting. How small has his circle been throughout his boxing career in terms of AJ and the people that he allowed to get close to him as he allowed these two to?
Yeah, his circle has always been quite small, with the team that work in and around him every single day. These two people, Cena and Lats, they were two people who will be the first call in the morning and the last call at night. It's a very intense environment when you're in boxing. When you're at that sort of level as well. It's everything is done with through a fine-tooth comb. They leave no stone unturned, and them two were a major part, a prominent part of Anthony Joshua's team. So they were more than just training. the training team. They were sort of like his best friends as well. You know, when you're in this intense environment, Jim, like, you know, when you're boxing at that sort of level, it's like a family unit. It's more than friends. It's like a family. It's like, you know, it's like the mother, father, brother, sister, all molded into one. That's how close it is. For Anthony Joshua, you know, the physical stuff, yes, he's going to overcome, and he's such a fortunate guy to have, you know, come out the way that he come out. He really is. But the mental side, psychological side is going to be very difficult for Anthony to get over. And I respect what Eddie said there. He was right in what he said. You know, he's going to need time. Only Anthony Joshua knows whether we'll see him in the boxing ring again or not. But boxing will be the last thing on his mind right now.
I mean, sport and grief, Simon. We had the tragedy, of course, in the Liverpool dressing room with Diogo Jota. The unknown quantities around the physical, the mental impacts, and, of course, the future motivation that the likes of Joshua may or may not have.
But he was there. I mean, the tragedy of Diogo Jota was bad enough for those that were close to him. But Anthony Joshua was there. He witnessed this. You know, the awful videos that people seem to think is now the right thing to do, circulating about the tragedy and the absolute, destruction of these two friends of his, he will have seen. And so with that in mind, physically, of course, he'll overcome it. It's whether boxing provides him with an outcome that he wants to motivate himself to go back into a ring and punch people in the face, or whether he looks at life in a very different way now. He's just come out of Miami, on top of the world, where he's been launched as a media star in a boxing event that was really about entertainment, which Anthony got paid a lot of money for doing, but also created himself into being a media star. That's what that was about. And 7 days later, somehow one of the world's biggest sporting superstars finds himself in this situation. But most importantly, the loss of lives for these two kids and their families. Anthony Joshua lives on and is a very lucky boy. I spoke to Eddie before just after Christmas when this happened.
Yeah.
And 6 inches to the right, and Anthony Joshua we would be talking about in a different way. So we will see. I mean, boxing becomes less important for him. And when you've seen this kind of tragedy, do you use boxing as a gatekeeper for focusing your mind on the things in the foot, or do you say, why would I want to be in a contact sport after what I've just seen?
Yeah. We send our sincere condolences to the families of Sina Gami and Latif Latsi Ayodele this lunchtime. And we send our best wishes to Anthony Joshua, who no doubt, like everybody else in boxing, listens to this hour, on this day, on this show, on talkSPORT. Whatever he chooses to do next, Spencer, will have an impact for the heavyweight division in some way or t'other. Tyson Fury's coming back. He is coming back. After saying he's not, I'm not. Well, he is, in some shape or form. And we know there were plans for him to fight Joshua. If he comes back, who could be the alternatives for him outside of Anthony Joshua?
Well, obviously, Anthony Joshua was the dream fight that he was hoping for sometime late summer. Arslan Makhmudov is the rumoured guy that he's going to be coming in against, the guy that just beat Dave Allen, the big Russian, very powerful, very strong, but his style suits someone like Tyson Fury. And Tyson, you know, he needs to brush off the cobwebs. He needs to know if he's still got it at that sort of level. I believe if he comes through that fight, I think the target then, the guy with the target on his back will be the new WBO champ, Fabio Wardley. I think that's the route that he will probably take at the moment.
Okay.
While we wait and see what happens with Anthony Joshua in the near future.
We'll get into that in a moment, but Fury announces arrival back in the boxing scene as only Tyson can do.
For me, there's nothing else other than fight game. I love this fight game. It's not for financial gain. I could have retired 10 years ago. Made an absolute fortune. It's not about the money, although I always want a good deal, for sure. It's mainly about the love of the fight game and the sport. I'm 37 and 38 this year. I'm older, but I love to fight. I have zero other interests, only fighting. I was born and raised to fight. My destiny lies within the fight game.
So, I mean, it would be a big money fight. Whenever Fury's involved, it would be a big money fight.
Yeah.
But if it was to be against Fabio Wardley, does Fabio Wardley really command a big money fight in terms of the draw that Fabio is?
Well, he should do, because he deserves it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Tyson is the same person that said 3 months ago that it was a young man's game and he didn't want to do it anymore. So make your mind up, right? The fact of the matter is there's a huge financial opportunity to be there. 10 years ago, he couldn't have retired, because 10 years ago, he just won his title against Klitschko and probably got paid a very small amount of money in comparison to what he's earned since. Mm-hmm. So really and truly, there is an economic benefit to him. I mean, Tyson, is the heavyweight division better for having Tyson Fury in it? Yeah, because he's a charismatic character. He is someone that engages people and divides opinion and creates news cycles, which is good for boxing. Who he fights next? I think Makhmudov is a good fight. I mean, he got chopped down by Ajit Kabiel, but he's back. He showed his resilience in terms of beating Dave Allen, who was the people's champion in some people's minds because everyone likes Dave. There were levels to this game, and I think it's a good fight for Tyson to tune himself up on where he goes and what happens to him next. I mean, skill-wise and competency-wise, he should be in a different zip code to Fabio Wardley. But we've said that many a time about Fabio, and Fabio can punch. And it's whether what's left of Tyson Fury is capable of dealing with what Fabio Wardley brings. If Fabio, by the way, he's the champion, if he chooses to fight Tyson Fury, and somewhere in the middle of that, Fabio will have had a fight before he gets to that stage.
Well, Fabio said this week, Spencer, he's keen to do it.
Absolutely. Of course he's keen to do it. You know, he's the new champion. That will elevate him to another level. And he's always been the underdog. He's always been the guy with his back against the wall, and he's been proving people wrong time after time. You know, the win against Josie Parker was exceptional. He showed big character in that fight as well. And you're looking at Tyson Fury, who's 37 years of age now, been around a long time. That trilogy with Deontay Wilder clearly took something out of both of them guys, you know, physically, not just mentally, but physically as well. Fury's had a break now. He needs a fight to come back. He's still a huge, prominent figure in the heavyweight division, one of the big characters. But there's always a passing of the baton, and it could be the right time for Fabio Wardley. He's in a great position. It's a great fight at this stage for both guys.
I'm not hearing Fury Usyk for a third time from either of you.
I think we've seen those two, haven't we? I think that, you know, Alexander Usyk, he's on his own little journey. He wants to box Deontay Wilder next. He's all about cleaning up, you know, modern eras and, you know, becoming legacies and all of that sort of stuff, you know. So he's allowed that fight with Deontay Wilder. Where does he go after that? Does he go Ajit Kabiel? Does he go Fabio Wardley, try and regain that WBO title? There's options out there for him. But Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk, it's happened twice. We may get it a third time, but I think that's sort of a way off yet. I think Tyson Fury has to go and recapture that WBO title if he's got any chance of fighting Usyk again.
Tragically for Usyk, he can't get the kind of money that his status should determine. If they've all got drunk at the table, getting paid £50 million for fighting one another, and all of a sudden the air's going out of the room financially because the Saudis aren't going to keep on overpaying, and there's a level to this, and whilst Usyk is absolutely a wonderful fighter, he isn't box office in terms of being able to cut through outside of the fighting fans. He has to fight. He has to have a dance partner that makes the noise for him alongside him. Daniel made the noise because of the UK crowd and the 90,000 people that turned up at Wembley. Obviously Anthony and obviously Tyson Fury did that. So if you look at Ajit Kabiel, why would he fight Ajit Kabiel? He's going to get 5-10 million quid for it, and he's been getting that for a sparring session.
Got you. Okay, we watched with interest. Fury is coming back, but who does he fight next? It's Jim White, Simon Jordan, Spencer Robber live on talkSPORT with Selco, where the trade goes.
Darren Fletcher's confirmed to us he'll be in the Old Trafford dugout this weekend. Man United host Brighton in the FA Cup live on talkSPORT on Sunday. United drew 2-2 with Burnley in the league. We understand Solskjaer's nearing a return. Keith Andrews says his Brentford side, meanwhile, is becoming more versatile. They move up to 5th with a 3-0 win over Sunderland, but the pressure increases on Thomas Frank at Spurs, who definitely didn't notice being handed an Arsenal-branded cup before the defeat at Bournemouth.
I think actually it's a little bit sad in football that I need to be asked a question about that.
Just 1 win in 6 for Spurs. Mickey van der Ven appeared to offer a fan out for a fight. Bergvall and Bentancur both came off injured before Antoine Semenyo's last-minute winner, which Andoni Iraola called a fairy tale ending for Semenyo at the Vitality.
Again, I've got to prepare the team. It'll be a great honour, FA Cup game at Old Trafford, but we've got to recover from this.
Semenyo's due for his Man City medical today. They dropped more points in a draw at home to Brighton, and talkSPORT's Mickey Gray says Guardiola looks drained.
It just felt like last night he was a little bit frustrated. Look, they're creating chances, but at the minute they're just not seeing games out. They've got to score that second goal to win football matches.
Arsenal can go 8 points clear with a win at home to Liverpool, live on talkSPORT tonight. And with a review into England's very disappointing 4-1 Ashes defeat already underway, Vice-Captain Harry Brooks on his last warning. He's apologised for an altercation with a bouncer in New Zealand at a nightclub ahead of the Ashes. And coach Brendan McCullum accepts tweaks are needed. There's more on talkSPORT's cricket YouTube channel.
Boxing update on talkSPORT with DAZN, the global home of boxing. Sign up now at dazn.com/boxing.
This Saturday, Germany hosts a massive heavyweight homecoming for Ajit Kabayel. Spencer mentioned him earlier on as he takes on Damian Kniba. With the winner lined up for a shot at the WBC heavyweight title, watch this Saturday only on DAZN. And don't miss out on DAZN's packed schedule with fights every week, including Rocha against Krul 2, that's next week. Moses Itoma against Jermaine Franklin on January the 24th. And Ring 6 Teofimo Lopez against Shakur Stevenson. That's on January the 31st. So many big fights coming your way, and you can catch it only on DAZN. Jim White, Simon Jordan, Spencer Oliver with you live on talkSPORT this lunchtime, live on your telly as well, even Prime Video. You can catch us if you want to watch us on that. And another big fight on the horizon, and it's coming your way soon, next month, the 21st of February to be precise, at the Nottingham Arena. These two do it again. And I'm talking about former world champions Lee Wood and Josh Warrington. Lee Wood is one up after the knockout win over Warrington in the first fight back in 2023. What are we going to see this time? Same again, or will it be Josh's turn to have his arm held aloft? Lee Wood, former featherweight champion, joins us live this lunchtime. Lee, good afternoon. How's training going?
Difficult, very hard. I'm in the thick of it, but I love it, you know. I do love it. But yeah, preparations, it's going well, extremely hard at the minute, but I'll be ready on best form come February 21st.
You are totally engrossed in the fight game, though, Lee. Last time I saw you, where were we? I think it was the Tottenham Hotspur. Where was it? The O2. And we saw Wardley, O2, yeah. Wardley Parker. And you get so involved in that fight that night as well. You live for this fight game, don't you?
I love it, mate. I do love it. It's what I've done since I was very young, 12 years old. And it's all I ever wanted to do. It's all I want to do. And if I could go back, I'd probably do it all again the same.
Yeah, Lee, you find yourself in the twilight of your career now, and you've had an incredible career. You really have, against all the odds, really. You've gone on there and won world titles, and you've done it pretty much all. Firstly, the first part of the question is, where are you still finding the motivation from? And then obviously with the loss to Anthony Kakachi back in May, there was a time there, I think I looked at you, I think we even had the conversation, you didn't know whether you was going to hang up your gloves, whether you was going to... I mean, I know you need time out, but where are you at with that right now? Where is that motivation coming from, mate?
I feel like motivation's never been really something I've looked at because I've always been disciplined. So there's days you get up, you think, I don't really want to do this today, but you know what? I'm going to go do it anyway. There's days when you feel really tired, I'm aching, can I do this today? I want to go do it anyway. Don't get me wrong, there is some days when I wake up and think, right, I'm attacking this today. I've got sparring today. I mean, regardless of how I feel, I'm attacking it. So motivation don't correlate with my plans, you know? I got my plans, I started to do it, and I do it. Same with my career, you know, I've started to do certain things. I'm not finished yet. I've still lived for these great nights, and February 21st is going to be one more of them great nights, great atmosphere, and probably, hopefully, a career best performance for me. And like I said, I'm going to struggle to do a better job, but I would like to do a quicker job.
I mean, you are 37 now, Mr. Wood, but here's the thing. It suggests to me that if you beat Josh Warrington again, you will carry on, and there'll be more fights further down the line after that.
We'll see, you know, we'll see. I said a few fights ago, I might have 2 more left. I'm not going to say it's my last fight going into it, because that's not how I think. I'm focused on getting the win, doing everything I need to do. I'm ticking them boxes, I'm pushing myself as I always do. But, you know, we'll talk about it after, we'll see how I feel, and if it makes sense, possibly, but, you know, could be the last one. You never know.
Yeah, I think that was the conversation that we were sort of like talking about after the Kakachi loss. You was at that stage of your career, you're saying, look, it's been brilliant. Do I continue? Do I not continue?
I can't finish on that. There's no way I could finish on that.
Yeah. You want to finish on a winning note. Here's somebody else who's getting on a bit. Here's Simon.
Why are you taking this fight again in terms of Josh? I mean, the outcome, despite the fact that the fight at the beginning of the fight looked more towards Josh than it did to you, it was a pretty conclusive finish. So what do you gain besides perhaps the economics are more beneficial in taking Josh Warrington by fighting Josh again? Because normally when a chapter's been closed, you two had your differences of opinion. I think it was pretty much respectful most of the time, but you went in there and you knocked him out. So why fight Josh again? What does it lead you towards, Lee?
This fight, those two coming together is the best experience, the best fight I could get. Out of all the people I could fight in the world, even better kids, whatever, the actual what I get out of the fight night against Josh, everything that's on the table, what's on the line, the bragging rights, the atmosphere, everything that comes through. This is what I live for. This is what I box for. So to do this again, the opportunity to do it again, as well as everyone saying, oh, you know, he was beating you until I knocked you out, whatever. For me to go out there and experience all this again and do a better job, it's a no-brainer, and to finish on a positive note, all being well.
What's the wanting not to be negative, but not explore the psyche of your thinking? What's the reaction from Lee Wood after the Kakachi defeat? I mean, you went on this great run of form. You know, you came back and knocked Michael Collin out, which was the start of the journey where people really start to pay a lot of attention to you. People started to pay a lot of attention to the performances you were putting in. You lose to Mauricio Lau, you go back and avenge it. But in the Kakachi defeat, it was, you know, a jarring defeat for you, but perhaps you didn't expect it, obviously, going into that fight. But what's been the flip side to that? How have you processed that particular defeat?
Yeah, it was always a challenge, and that's what I've done all my career. I've ran towards challenges. I've never shied away from a challenge. And with all the circumstances around that fight, you know, it was a long time, nearly 2 years out of the ring and jumping up in weight. I had more of that challenge going into it. But again, like I said, I'm here to test myself. Yeah, we watched it back and we knew what I did wrong. And yeah, there's things I could do better if it happened again. Not that it's good, but obviously I would have said, you know, that's done, and we're moving towards the Warrington fight again. I want to finish on a positive note. But mentally, you know, nothing's changed. Like when I've been beat, every time I've been beat in my career, I've come back stronger, I've come back better, I've improved, and I've identified what I did wrong. And it's no different to this fight. Regardless of winning this fight, there's still things I could have done better for this Warrington rematch, and I'm going to go out and do it.
You said you wanted to finish on a positive note. Does that mean, Lee, that this is possibly the last fight, or will there be another hint at a world title
we'll see.
after that? I know you don't think too far into the future, but you did mention that a couple of times, and I just say, like, is that in the back of your mind, going out on a win, and then we'll see where you're at?
Yeah, you know, I'm just trying to forget about it. Forget about all that. That's a store noise to me. So I was focusing on getting the result, getting the win. doing everything I can do to get that win and ticking my boxes and what everything would do to prepare. And then we'll talk and we'll sit down and assess things after. And it possibly could be my last fight.
Do you think you've got a better Josh Warrington? I mean, obviously people were surprised that Josh dictated the way he did in the first fight, and you got him out of there. People looked at Josh's performance. I know he's come back and won since, but looked at his performance against Kakachi, and a lot of people went, "Oh, Josh, that's kind of it, isn't it?" Do you think you're facing a better Josh Warrington than you faced in the first fight?
I think it's the same. You always get the same with Josh Warrington. He always gives 100%. He does things a certain way. You know, he don't really change the way he fights. Which is pretty well, you know, he's won 2 world titles at doing what he does. But I gave away a lot of moments in that first fight, not down to loads of things, but you know, there's a lot on the line. I was forcing things a little bit too much. I was missing a lot of moments, and I was a bit flat at the way. So yeah, we may see a better Josh Warrington on the night, as there's a lot on the line, but also you'll see a better Leeward of the night as well.
Yeah, well, the night in question is February the 21st at the Nottingham Arena. We wish you well, Lee. Before you leave us, your beloved Nottingham Forest, you began the season with Nuno. There was a touch of Ange Postecoglou in there, and now Sean Dyche.
More than a touch.
Are you going to stay in this Premier League?
I hope so. You know, it's a good weekend for us. Just gone beating West Ham, which is a very important game. Obviously, Newcastle beat Leeds in a thriller, which helped us last night because makes that gap isn't too big as we're chasing them as well. So, you know, I think we will stay up. It's going to be competitive. I think we've got enough to stay up, but we need to make a few changes and a few adjustments. When we're playing great football, we are a really good team, but there's just a few things we need to sort out. I'm not a manager, so I don't know what to say about that. But yeah, we'll stay up this season for sure.
Okay, Lee, good to speak to you. Lee Wood, who fights Josh Warrington again, the rematch. Lee is 1 up from the first time around. This time it's at Nottingham Arena on the 21st of February. Stay with us. Jim White, Spencer Oliver, alongside Simon. We're back after this. Courtesy of Selco, where the train goes.
26k for 2026 on talkSPORT.
That's right. You've got until 12 tomorrow to enter with a chance of you winning 26 grand. The winner will be called up at 12 tomorrow with the cash paid straight into your bank account the same day. £26,000 for 2026. For your chance to win, text WIN to 83338. Text costs £2.50 plus your standard network rate, or the numbers call 0343 423 9761. Lines close at 12 tomorrow. That's when you'll need to answer your phone if it rings. UK residents only, 18 plus, a network promotion. Terms, conditions at talksport.com/win. Your chance to win, text WIN to 83338 right now, and good luck. Spencer Oliver and Simon Jordan in studio with myself. That music really got me going there. Hall of the Mountain King, was it not?
I don't know.
Oh, she turned into a Morris.
It was amazing, that tune there. It really got me. Here's one, though, to finish with, and many are saying that this fight should not be going ahead this weekend, but it is. Sheffield's Dalton Smith goes in against Subriel Matthias for the WBC Super Lightweight title this weekend in New York. Let me give you some background to this. Everybody loves Dalton Smith, 18-0. Matthias has 23 wins on his record, 22 by KO, 2 defeats. But here's the catch. Matthias tested positive for a banned substance in a voluntary anti-doping association test, VADA test. VADA found Osterine in a sample collected as recently as November the 9th. But what about this? The WBC are permitting this fight to go ahead due to, quotes, extenuating circumstances. The WBC cited Matthias' consumption of the supplements known to be contaminated with Osterine and the adverse findings being relatively low and consistent with Osterine contaminant supplements. In other words, having put him on probation for a year, they then give him the go-ahead to fight. Spencer, this is a nonsense, isn't it?
And defend his WBC title. What happened to the WBC clean-up programme? I mean, this is absolute nonsense. Anybody that knows when you're on a cycle and you're washing something out of your system, there will be traces of it. You can't say, oh, it was low and below the threshold of what we testing.
Yeah.
I go, it was found in his system. It's a performance-enhancing drug. Matthias should have been stripped of the title. For the faith of boxing, Dalton Smith goes out there and he wins this fight because, he's putting his neck on the line going in against this kid who is effectively a drug cheat because it was in his system, and putting him on probation. What sort of nonsense is that?
The only caveat to that, and I don't want to give it a caveat, is that the purpose of enhancing your body is a direct process and a deliberate methodology. If he's been able to illustrate that actually the only thing he's guilty of is a lack of diligence. He took supplements that he wasn't aware of at the time contain this particular...
But even if it is that, Simon, diligence or not, it should be punished.
So then we're consequencing people for lack of diligence. The motivation for consequencing somebody is to stop them from hurting somebody else in a ring, from stop them from doing things. If it's because that the diligence side of things, then we start to get into the argument about what is the drug testing regime for. Then you move into the Joseph Parker argument, which is basically Joseph Parker could find himself getting banned for 4 years for taking a drug that doesn't increase his performance, in fact, detracts his performance. And this guy gets put on probation. That's the ridiculousness of it all. They've got to get this drug testing regime and its disciplines and what they're trying to test for and what they're trying to achieve into focus, because you can keep on saying supplements got it. Why are these supplements got it in? Why aren't people understanding of what's inside these ingredients? Because they're not professional enough. Well, that's why.
He's the argument here, though, Simon.
Or they are, in fact, he must surely Spence. We're all saying, and I think the same as you, WBC are a bunch of cowboys. But surely, to some extent, there has to be something that the fighter is producing to give them the confidence to be able to turn around as a global audience, as a global recognised belt, and say, he's got extenuating circumstances. He proved to us that this wasn't intentional. It wasn't PED supplements. It wasn't a PED introduced into his system. It was a supplement that contained it in its composition, and he was taking these supplements for genuine reasons.
If you're a world-class athlete and you're operating at that level with the money that's on the table as well, and you know that there's certain supplements that you can't take or banned substances, it's plain and simple. You need to read the ingredients of whatever you're taking, and it's in there.
But that's the professionalism of the fighter, not the intention.
Yeah, no, but
do you really
think that they take stuff without knowing it?
I'm asking you a question. is it right to sanction someone for a lack of professionalism? If their intention, and there's been no benefits from this so-called PED that's been tested in his system, and it really was a legitimate oversight, a lack of professionalism, do you ban someone for 2 or 4 years for a lack of professionalism?
Yes.
Or do you or do you ban them for actually trying to increase their muscle mass to be able to inflict damage upon someone else? Which are you banning them for? A lack of professionalism?
Does it matter?
Well, then,
Does the intention or otherwise matter? It should be zero tolerance anyway.
So shouldn't you be banning the supplement? Shouldn't these boxing sanctioning bodies be going, right, here's all the supplements in the world that potentially contain this ingredient. None of you should be taking any of these. Shouldn't they be doing some more diligence on behalf of these fighters? Because a
fighter that has claimed the WBC title, so he's earning massive money out of this, fails a drugs test for performance-enhancing drugs, and he's allowed to keep that title and allowed to continue earning because of his negligence, because of his incompetence of knowing what he's taking and what he's not taking. To me, is rubbish.
So you've got Paul Pogba, who is an elite sportsman that's earning hundreds. This kid's not earning hundreds of millions of pounds a year. He's earning hundreds of millions of pounds. Paul Pogba was a footballer. He took a supplement in America that contained a substance that got him banned. Right. So when you talk about best in class around you, I don't think this fighter's got hundreds of millions of pounds. It doesn't excuse him from diligence. And I'm not trying to make an excuse for failed drugs tests for him, for Conor Benn, for anyone. Right. I'm trying to understand why a supposed reputable world-facing organisation would take such a lax approach. We're looking at it from a very binary perspective. Yeah. We're looking at it from the point of view saying that's outrageous. He's failed. But if he's failed because he was taking a PED, or if he's failed because a substance had a small amount of that ingredient in it and there was no intention to be able to deal with that circumstance, then there's two different dynamics. What are you trying to achieve by banning? You better do a better job as a drug testing agency, or you better do a better job saying to people, these are the structures of what you can and can't take. And by the way, these supplements include it, so be bloody careful what you're doing.
Does Dalton Smith win this?
Yes, Dalton Smith wins this, and I think I'm speaking that with my heart because it's a tough fight here against Mateus, who's a machine. He keeps going, and for obvious reasons now that I've seen. I mean, you look at that performance, he's going into round 12, he's punching like a lunatic. You're going, where are you finding that energy from? Where's that coming? Hold on, let me have a little think.
Exactly.
Anyway, another story. Continue with that one. If PEDs were found in his system, there should be a stricter thing that happens to him than being put on probation. For me, Dalton Smith wins a tough, close points decision. Come on, Dalton, we're all rooting for you, mate.
For the purpose of not really understanding how the WBC have had, if by Spencer's logic, I agree with him, but how the WBC got the gall to mask themselves as a boxing sanctioning body, but allowing people to go into a ring.
You're determined to have the last word in this, aren't you?
This is the point, Simon.
No, I'm not.
Why have the WBC not explained why they put him on probation? Can we please hear that? Mauricio Suleiman.
More transparency.
We need more transparency.
That was fabulous. It's mid-afternoon here on talkSPORT. No, it's not. We're coming up to 1 o'clock. Spencer, thanking you.
Thank you.
As always. Simon, thanks as always to you. Sam Matterface and Alex Cook will be back tomorrow for you at 10 o'clock. As mentioned earlier, and I'm sure this is going to happen, Danny Rowe, Rangers manager, is going to be on with Sam. You'll enjoy that. You'll enjoy this. 1 o'clock.